Mom.
Let's go.
Alrighty.
All right.
Going live.
Do you guys have moderators?
All right,
Negative
Reject
today.
Nation. If you're here, you know what to do. Let us know if we're live. If you can hear us. We had time today to calibrate the microphones, so everything should be groovy. And before we even kick this off, just because, you know, we're here, we all know why we're here, what we're here to discuss, and we want to know if you guys have seen the movie once, twice, what did you think now it's out? So if you'll turn your attention to the chat, a poll is about to pop up, and you'll be able to participate in that. But Greg, Coy, how you guys doing today? Thank you for joining me.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
Thanks,
for having
John.
me.
Yeah.
Remember,
You know
you
what
guys. What do you got there?
That's how I'm doing. I got the son of Loki.
Awesome. So right now, what John's doing is he's going to the chat, the poll. He's going to put out a poll for you guys, asking what did you guys think of Eternals, and you got 3 options to vote on, and we just want to know. We just want to gauge an idea. You guys remember, you drive the way this spoiler talk goes. The reason why we like doing spoiler talks live is because whenever we shoot a pre-recorded live, no pre-recorded live stream, pre-recorded live stream, we just fool the audience.
Spoiler alert.
Whenever we record a pre-recorded spoiler talk, I'm always left with the feeling when I'm editing of, damn it,
Forgot that.
didn't
forgot
talk about
that.
this, didn't talk about this, didn't talk about this. So if anything's left off the table, you're to blame. Blame the audience. Blame the audience.
That's how you grow a network.
Yeah.
You blame the audience.
That's how you engage. That's how
Yeah.
you
Gotta make sure they're in
That's how you
fault.
build a community. You blame
I'm
the
not the one
community
who's
all
removed.
the
It
time.
must be the kids that are to blame.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's see.
Let's see how this poll goes. I'm expecting most people to say love it.
Right now we've got
All right.
All right. Most people are loving it so
60
far.
with 67 votes. We'll check it again in a
yeah,
second here.
Yeah. We'll keep it pinned up there.
And I know I usually
Alright.
lead these streams, but I want to say right here, right now, John's going to be leading everything.
Welcome.
I'm going to try my best to be quiet.
Welcome to
I'm
the
going to
suck.
try my best to not interrupt him.
Yes.
I'm going to try my best to let him talk.
Yeah, you
I'm
know.
going to try my best to be in the background.
Really respectful of
well.
always respectful of my train of thought. Cheers, buddy.
Let's do it. Okay, so you got the son of Surtur.
I got the Sword of Surtur, yes sir.
Son of Surtur. Right?
Pastry stout with coffee, cacao, chocolate sandwich, cookies, and marshmallows.
Oh, good God.
There's so much in this, it's not even funny.
got
So this
Children
stream
of
is going to go
Loki.
way off the rails. Seeing a lot of responses in the chat that are very across the board, though. I mean, I saw somebody put 11 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. A lot of varying opinions on this movie.
I liked it, followed by I hate it, back to back. That is a nice summary of the internet. That is just the internet at large, movie or no.
What is the you got to make sure you're really talking to the mic there, Coy. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't be an anus.
Don't be here. We'll true
That-
this. All right. But what is the poll at right now?
The poll is at, it's fluctuated too. It's holding on. Most people liked it or loved it. 44% leading the loved it category. Only 2% of our viewers today have hated it, though.
All right. Out of 370 votes?
Yeah.
That's
so.
more votes than Rotten Tomatoes.
Hey,
More
look
votes
at
than
us
RT.
go.
And it's around the Rotten Tomatoes mark. Except flipped.
Yeah.
It's more positive.
And I do want to acknowledge at the top of this, I was exactly wrong. The numbers I thought it was going to be are exactly inverse, and I'm honored by that. I'm happy to own that because you guys, you the people, the audience, you've given me more hope in mankind. You've proven to me that there is a patience and an actual attention span in the people. So thank you for proving me wrong. I've never been happier to be wrong. I loved this movie, and I'm really happy to see that the people are enjoying it as well. I thought this was just me a critical darling, but it's actually like doing really well. It's got 161.7 box office, the second biggest box office worldwide. I think to Fast and Furious is number 1. Did 71 million domestic during a pandemic era. It's a huge box office. So the people, I appreciate you.
It did 71 million?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know the numbers.
I got you.
Didn't sleep much.
Yeah,
I was
feel you.
dreading the stream. No, I had so much. No, it was out pretty late last night. But, that's good. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
71 mil.
Now we'll just see the word, because it's got a B cinema score right now, which is, it's not terrible. It's the lowest in the MCU so far.
Which is a testament to the MCU, in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. It's the lowest in the MCU. Yeah, they never hit C. So now we just got to wait and see how it performs over the next couple of weeks, because that's the real telling of word of mouth. Because you can get, like, people going to Rotten Tomatoes and chiming in, giving their, the upping the percentage there, because I think it's like 84% right now, somewhere there.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. and then you got B cinema score. But we'll see if the word of mouth is actually indeed stronger as the weeks progress.
I'm also curious how the week 1 to week 2 drop off is, because it's, the first week is when all the people that are passionate about seeing it, it's a longer movie.
Sure.
There's only so many showtimes you can squeeze in a schedule because it's so long. You can get like 3 to a screen, because movie theaters are open in limited hours right now, especially around LA. But I'm really curious about the word of mouth, if people are going to be going back, if it's going to change the overall perspective. Like, obviously you can't change the cinema score, but we saw that IMDb got review bomb before it even came out, how that changes. Those things are interesting to me because there is this really strong, aggressive offense to it. Like, I've not seen this much aggression towards a Marvel film since Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it was because if you go woke, you go broke.
I mean, clearly that's why it's on $161.7 million,
That's what's happening
which
with
is
our
broke.
industry. Everything's broke.
And that's why the critics who love woke culture gave it a lower score by half than the audience who isn't woke, apparently.
I just got to say, this whole thing about critics being treated as if they're part of some secret society.
Or that they're not human beings.
This brain hive mind that they work together. I'm like, most of these people were just fans who then eventually worked their way up, and then they were able to become Rotten Tomatoes. Like, some of them are our friends.
A lot
of them
we
are
know
our friends.
many of them.
Yeah.
Out of the 300, we probably know
many
like a third.
I've seen people in the chat say that critics are biased, and I'll let you know a secret. Viewers are biased.
Yeah, and
viewer.
Everyone's
is
a
biased.
little bit biased. That's
Yeah.
why we have varying opinions.
Everyone has tastes. Everybody has what they like and dislike, and what works for them. And critics are not exempted that. The only difference between critics and the normal audience is critics likely have seen a lot more movies, and that's about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we saw it a second time.
Yeah.
And the second time watching it, it was like the first time John and I watched it together, and we see some questions coming in, and we're going to get to them. John's going to be
We will jump
making
on
sure
the
we're
super
doing
chats.
everything going on. He's reading. He's
Get a
reading your
few.
live chat as well.
Yeah.
So the second time we saw it, okay, I did a quick out of the theater thoughts with John. Everyone thought that was a full review. But then if you watch them on different Koi, which is
watched
like an
the
hour
hour
long,
and
you'll see
15
that there's
minutes.
one is a very short
It's
review.
one of my favorite things I've ever done on the internet.
Really?
That conversation is one of my favorite things I've ever made.
I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to see you got a lot of love for it.
I also rewatched it, and I never rewatch anything. Like, it's like you were there, so like, why would you be like, I'm gonna go relive my life for an hour?
You skipped over everything I said. And
This guy's still talking, this Greg guy. No, but I'm just saying, like, I
Yeah.
think we did really fine work there.
And I'll say on the second time around, there were specific character moments that definitely worked for me that I thought were stronger. There are things that worked less for me the second time around, though. I'm pretty overall. It's okay. You guys probably heard my opinion a gazillion times by this point. I did a very long talk with Koi. Obviously, I'm not in the hate it camp for this movie. It's one of those things where I personally just didn't really feel much when I watched it. Although I'll say the second time around, I actually did get a little misty-eyed when Fastos has to say bye to his son.
That's one of my two.
That part really got to me. When he's motivated by that, but see, that's my bias though. Parental actions of love really get to me. That's a bias. But I'm not sitting there going like I'm fucking biased towards this, Yeah. That's definitely a quality. And I actually think, and I see before we went live that this character was getting a lot of crap in the chat. I actually think my favorite characters the second time around are specifically Sprite and Kingo. Because of the fact that I think they represent what I personally might have wanted most out of the Eternals movie. Because if you look at the lives they're leading, they're the representatives of eternity and the ways one can go really well and beneficial and the way one can really go tragically wrong. Whereas, like, I love the portrayal of Sprite because the first time around I was like, she's really good, a bit whiny, but really good. And then the second time around, I'm like, oh, this makes perfect sense why she would always be in a bad mood.
Well, yes, she's the most betrayed.
7,000 years stuck in this body, and then early in that scene, her first scene in the present day, when she's like flirting with a guy, but then the second she touches, he touches her hand, she starts to fade away because she's really a little girl. It's like, and then she's this person in a little girl's body, but she's an adult. So, and it'd also be weird if she dated like a 12-year-old boy or something, like she can't win. She can't have intimacy. She can't experience the love. And yet she's like pretty much playing roommate to Cersei, who's in this really loving relationship. And so I could see that she's envious of that. And then not only that, but then Cersei also gets Icarus, the guy who she's really in love with. So she's kind of in this suffrage position. And then King goes on the opposite perspective where he gets to like delight and celebrate and be famous and take advantage of being eternal, And so I thought like their dichotomy, and then they had a couple of key scenes together, like in the forest, when Kingo he's doing the Peter Pan Tinkerbell discussion, and he's the one who's able to pick up on that she's in love with Icarus. There was something about their specific dynamics in the story that I thought they were telling, and I thought Sprite had the most interesting development, especially by the end when Cersei is able to grant her like the Pinocchio wish, become human. So I actually appreciate that more.
Do you have a favorite too? I think it'd be a fun way to go through the start.
Yeah, sure.
What are your top two?
You know, I really appreciate what you just said, and one of the biggest things about the second viewing to me was that character thread with Sprite became super clear. It's like one of the clearest character threads in the movie is like practically every scene someone makes a crack at her about her appearance, her age, her predicament, and that really drove home that sort of like family dysfunction vibe. But yeah, I still, for me, my two favorites to watch, and partly because I don't want to steal your answer, because I do agree, like I really came out loving Kingo and Sprite the second time, but it's still Druig and Makari for me. Like I love them together. I think them as individual characters, even not having as much of the lion's share of the screen time or whatever, like every time those two stepped on screen, whether together or apart, I was really compelled just by their presence, their performances. I think Makari's action is some of the coolest and most, like, I like this movie a lot, and upon second viewing, I still held a lot of my opinions. Of all the Marvel movies, it's not the one that gets me hooping and hollering the most, but those Makari scenes where she's like fighting Icarus and where she's like, you know, running around the world trying to find the point of the emergence, like those are so dazzling, and those were the moments where I was like, fucking yeah, get him, for this movie. And then yeah, Druig, just his presence and his POV, like, you know, I think all the characters could have been to some degree expanded, but I really liked just, yeah, the kind of philosophical edge he was coming from, his relationship to Makari, his way of interacting with everybody else. Yeah, that would probably be my two, with a close second. No, let's. What's
We
yours
can do
first?
all 10 if you want.
Well, no,
well,
'cause-
so I do
yeah.
think it's interesting that the power set, and this is one of the things I want to talk about as we evolve into this conversation, is their powers tie so closely to their worldview in such a fascinating way. They were able to have us endear ourselves to these characters so quickly by their power set being how they perceive the world, which is kind of how humans are. Like, our strengths are how we perceive things. So my two were Druig and Thena, because I feel like Druig, he just wants to ease pain. He's trying to solve problems. He sees the fallibility of man, and he just wants to help people, and he does that in a way that would be villainous and handled in other hands. In a lot of ways, it is a very terrifying concept, but there's a reason that cults happen. There's a reason that this power, this charm, this inherentness alters people, but he uses it in a way where he's actually altruistic in his mind, and it's a thing where is freedom of choice a negative? We talk about that in most great literature, like what our freedom of choice causes us harm and how it benefits mankind and all those things, and I think it ties beautifully into Fastos, is where he just wants to further us, but conflict is what makes us stronger. So in the conversation of conflict making us stronger, like every time we have a problem, we have to solve it. We invented computers to solve this thing. Industrial Revolution solved this thing, but those also inherently cause wars and cause death. But you've got a character like Druig who, on the micro scale, is able to solve that problem. But if Druig had his way, we wouldn't have potentially been the people we are today. So it is this beautiful micro to the 10-character macro of why they couldn't step forward. So we got to see one of the characters actually do the thing they all individually wanted to do, while never seeing him as a villain. Even our villain, in quotes, Icarus, all Icarus does is follow orders, and we're going to talk about that more later because it is a fascinating commentary on villainy. But my second favorite character is Thena, because in my opinion, we've never seen mental illness handled in a superhero film with any sort of delicateness. We've seen lots of villains that are mentally ill. We've seen lots of characters that have mental handicaps treated with scorn and ostracized or made into lepers. But Thena is stronger for it. She's the only one that actually sees the reality of things. The mind weary actually makes her the one that evolves into what's actually happening. And I've never been diagnosed with shit, but you guys complain all the time about how fast I talk, and I'm just so bored all the time. So I'm sure I've got something wrong because the world feels very fucking slow to me. So I've always identified with these characters that are slightly on some sort of radar, that are characters that are like slightly unhinged. And usually these characters that are unhinged are treated as villains or treated as lesser. And this, she was treated as more, and she was able to bring an emotionality and a heart and a soul through the power of Jolie to make me feel like less of a weirdo. So between the Irish lilt and the beautiful sounds of my fucking home country and Angelina Jolie, this is a movie that made me feel more welcome in this world through these gods.
That was beautiful.
That was a gorgeous dissertation.
So happy you feel that way.
Can't tell if that's patronizing.
I know.
It is a little bit.
I'm really happy for you.
I know. I mean, I like if we're talking about biases, and I don't want to make things about like a bias argument, or I would never try to sway someone from feeling opposite. I was out yesterday, and a couple people were asking me about Eternals, and they just start spitballing their review to me, and I'm just like, I'm happy for you.
Isn't that the weirdest feeling?
Yeah,
when you're out and people are like, "Let me tell you what I think." You're like, "We weren't having
Let me
this conversation."
challenge you to my opinion.
Yeah, I'm just like I'm more than happy if you love it. That's great. Did you guys hear what Coy just said? Go to the chat, see how much
See
they
how
hate.
much they hate me. You're a glutton
We're
for
talking about
punishment, Coy.
this is the majority vote. 44% loved it.
For now.
Our poll is
Sorry,
still holding
Yeah.
strong. right now.
Okay. What's funny is that there are things about this that I liked less this time around, and some became clear as to why. And this kind of ties into my problem with how I actually don't like the way Thena's handled in this movie.
Interesting.
Now, you might not have been diagnosed with a lot. I've been diagnosed with a lot. And honestly, that doesn't even matter to me. Like what I'm saying with that. Like, because I think you're right in the sense of what they wanted to do with Thena. My overall issue with the flashbacks, before I go right into Thena, and then we do have to get to the question, so sorry. My overall issue with the way, and you know what's funny is John's definitely more in your camp, but I think we're a little bit eye to eye on this one.
Yeah.
Aren't we? I believe that you and I are pretty much on the same page about Thena. I felt like she's kind of the most underwritten, underdeveloped character in here. And really quick, a big part of that is the way the flashbacks are handled in the first hour, because I was actually timing it on a clock here. So the first hour is when you're really cutting back to the past, watching what led them to kind of go their separate ways, right? And I can never feel anything in those flashbacks because we were always going to the flashbacks at the end of the flashback.
Got it.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, it's always the catalyst. Like
It's
the final
always
moment.
like
always the
John,
thesis
John called the
moment,
thesis
yeah.
moment. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's hard for me to really care about Druig's dilemma here because I never watched him struggle with this. I'm just now learning he's struggling with this, and now here we are. And same thing with Thena. Every time we saw her, she was just quiet or doing fight scenes, like she was fighting. And then when we get to the moment where she's experiencing Mad Weary, I was like, like, you're doing a really great job, Angelina Jolie. like
You really showed up.
I can feel you really built this character, but I don't feel it. I'm like, I don't. She's like, but I want to remember who I am, and it really hit me the second time around. I have no idea who you are, though. I have no clue who you really are, because this movie hasn't explored it for me, at least one bit. And then I think you're right, and that's kind of the metaphorical realm they wanted to go down, that path of mental illness. I really feel like they didn't ever explore it. Whenever they showed it, a lot of the time to me, it was kind of just like a supernatural takeover moment. Just like when they first show up in where they camped out in Australia, Gilgamesh and her. And then she breaks out, then she like spouts a line. And they kind of use her more for plot clues of the former memories of the Eternals before their brains get wiped, right? That's kind of what I felt like she was used for. Although I do like the moment a lot. I can't deny this. I love the moment when the performance when she's with Gilgamesh in the forest, and then she's struggling against it because, and there I got the character a lot. She's the warrior from Olympia. At least that's what she believes, right? She's the warrior from Olympia. This is the greatest warrior, and there she is feeling like she can't even intervene in the fight to go help Gilgamesh.
Yes,
she
that
has
was
to
enough for me.
Like, that was a good moment. But then as the movie progressed, a lot of times I kind of just felt like she was just like kind of just there, but the most underdeveloped one of them all. And then it really hit me in the scene when she does have that speech with Cersei on the ship towards the end. I kind of felt, I got the impression that they were like, we need to write something for Thena to say. And then she has like jokes in there and humor that felt very forced to me. They didn't feel natural to me. That to me was the most Marvel forced humor when they thrusted it onto Thena's character. It just it didn't click with me. So her character specifically, I thought was, now I don't want to say Angelina Jolie did a bad job. I really think the writing on her was very lackluster, personally.
It's a
John,
thing.
don't stay quiet. Help me out here, man.
No.
Troy's gonna come yell at me.
Because I've been trying to figure out the words. Because this was the thing. Because I was sitting there both times watching it going, Angelina Jolie, she showed up for this. I really like her presence. I'm happy that she's so invested in this role, clearly. And it is a strange phenomenon to me where she is the one of the ensemble who doesn't quite feel plugged in to the rest of the movie as much as everybody else does. And right now, as I'm sitting here, I think part of that is, to me, it feels like a lot of her struggle we don't really experience from her point of view so much as she is the object of everybody else's concern. And it's like, how do we handle her? How do we, nurture her through this and not have to reset her memories and stuff like that? And she's the object of a lot of those conversations, and she sells the performance of the anguish of that. But I did get, and this is just speculation, but I got the sense that things might have been excised or pared out from, flashbacks about her or something. But if her memories are so important to her, and if we leave the movie in a place where Arishem comes back and is like, your memories will be scanned for judgment, basically, I thought they could have used that as a motif and really plugged it into the movie of, we don't know he's going to come back with that line, but make something out of the memories and do some surreal kind of, I don't know, do one of those trippy Marvel sequences where you can't quite tell what's reality and you're flipping in and out through different memories, or something to make that feel like a really plugged in, lucid part of the movie. Because for most of the other characters, I really felt like I saw through everyone's point of view at some point or another, but I didn't see through her point of view.
Yeah.
To defend my Thena.
Absolutely.
For me, I felt like the using her less made it more mysterious, which allowed for more of the unreliable narrator aspect of wondering what she's going through and leaning into emotion instead of logic. And we actually talked about in our spoiler-free review the intellectual feeling versus the emotional feeling. And you were saying how there was a lot of stuff you didn't emotionally connect with that I happen to have.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be one of the interesting things about people assessing this film. I guarantee a lot of people that loved this were able to connect off very little versus people that wanted to love this that weren't able to connect because of the size of the cast. I guarantee there's moments that for me registered as like, okay, that's gonna last me 20 minutes until we get back to blah blah blah, because I'm so like raw. And therefore by the time it gets back to you, you're like, I'm kind of written the character off. And that's a-okay, because it's not a weakness, it's just an inherent art form. It's art is so subjective for a reason. So you can't possibly have all 10 of these characters have enough time. So some people I do want to stress, and it's been a very interesting conversation, because you don't like this movie, it doesn't make you dumb or a bad person. There's been so much attacking people about this movie. It's not a matter of that. It's a matter of like whether or not it resonated. I don't think any less of anyone that hated this movie, unless you hate it because of the color of people's skin, their sexuality, their religious beliefs. If you're a bigot, I hate you in general, so it's just going to tie into Eternals.
Can I interrupt really quick? I don't think this is Rotten Tomatoes, who are a bunch of homophobes and racists and sexist.
Not at all.
There are definitely, and I have spoken to a couple of people. There's a couple of people I tried having like a real discussion with. There are people who literally just are that.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying.
Who watch this movie, and then when that shit pops up, it makes them hate the movie.
And it's not mutually exclusive is what I'm saying. I'm saying like because of that, you are not that.
Yeah,
and a lot of people have been like, hey, I don't want you to think I'm blah, blah, blah. And they have this weird caveat. And I was like, I'm not assuming that of you. Yeah. But at the same time, that is going to ostracize or put out a large number of people. And it's so alarming to me that one of the biggest things in the press about this movie was like, oh my God, there's a sex scene. And I was like, well, that's way more normal than killing millions of people.
Intimate love is a part of it existing.
It's so alarming to me that like, it's a very, very timid, very like casual, not intense sex scene.
It's like they weren't even having sex. It's like they were just laying on top of each other.
Being happy. No, but like it's so
even thrusting.
It's so weird. They're just, but like every article's like, Chloe put sex in Marvel, and I'm like, yeah, but why is that weird? And we see people like catch on fire and burn alive in Iron Man 3. We see half the population go in, but we can tell kids, you getting dusted, and imagine a child walking outside and thinking it's possible for them to just be gone at like 7 years old, and that be scarier to them than two people fucking? Fuck you, you're raising your kids wrong. So like, I really have a problem with the idea that we've made, because we were raised in this prudish society, America was founded by Puritans, we pretend it wasn't, we are still a fucking religious state, we still have a fucking Bible we swear on in court, which is bullshit. This is still a religious hierarchy. We let fucking Catholics diddle kids, but we can't have sex in a movie
Go
that's
hard,
tasteful.
coy.
So it's bullshit that you think that's a problem. And then you add to that like a loving kiss between a man and his husband that's raising a child, and that's how he connects to humanity. This man invents, he creates, he's an inventor of this world that allows humanity to exist, and you have a problem with him kissing his husband? You're the problem.
He invented gayness in this movie.
He invented the gayness.
He invented gays in the movie.
Paperboy.
They finally gave.
He did it.
They finally gave
It's
a
just-
religious understanding.
All of the
to where-
conversations drive me fucking crazy because we're 2021. We're so far into society being we invented the internet so long ago, and we still have a problem with shit that people had a problem with in the 1920s. Grow the fuck up and enjoy the movie or not, but don't make that why you don't enjoy the movie.
See,
Don't make that.
it's funny because right before you jumped into that diatribe, I hate bigotry too. Bigotry sucks. It's the worst, and it's.
But
I was gonna say
sometimes bigotry.
but that gay kiss,
But man, I tell you, that's where I draw the line.
just don't put it in my face. No. But aside from bigotry, which sucks, and I hate that it has to be part of the conversation, and I hate that we have to be like, hooray for Disney for not censoring this, which good for them, but also that shouldn't be an issue. But my favorite, weirdly, because people will step up to me, especially people who don't like the movie as much. Like, I feel like there's a certain charge around this movie where people want to challenge you about your opinion, and similar to your response, whenever somebody comes at me with that, I'm like, sure, okay, because part of my favorite aspect of this whole experience is that it's super divisive, and it is that it's at a 50 on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever, and everyone disagrees and has their own opinion, and they're doing so not because it's a bland and unambitious movie, but because it's a movie that tries a bunch of stuff, and you either like it or you don't. And I feel like this is the first time we've had this experience with the MCU truly. Like this, where it's like, okay, this is kind of a different beast, and you either think it's succeeding or it's not. And I hope that they don't. I think they're smart enough not to take the wrong takeaway from like the
Yeah, I
Rotten
don't think
Tomatoes.
Kevin Feige's gonna be like, let's not make a think piece again.
Because they're not gonna go look and be like, well, people clearly liked Thor: The Dark World better. I'm like, well, no, I mean, it's maybe a little more competent at doing less things than this movie is trying to do.
I still think it would have been a better show.
I
would love
absolutely
success.
agree.
I personally think it was one of those things where I couldn't help but think it would have been a better show, because you really could have. All those things were like with Fastos, with the flashbacks. I felt so much of Fastos has this influence on technology with humankind, right?
Amazing.
And it's my issue that I was saying with the flashbacks of like, we just cut to the thesis or the end moment. It's like, I built the engine, and then we cut to the moment with Druig later on, and he's like, your technology is ruining shit, Fastos. And then we cut to Hiroshima, but we don't see the experience of him getting involved and seeing like any of that. And I know, see, here's the thing. I gotta say this though. Even when I left the theater with John, normally if I have issues with a movie, I start to like kind of go, well, here's what I think they maybe could have done, and they could have rewritten it to do it. And my honest opinion of why I just don't hate this movie, despite the way how I ultimately didn't really feel much when watching it, is the fact that I'm like, well, there's nothing else they really could have done.
Like an hour.
For a movie, there's
That's
nothing.
about it.
They did that is about the most they could compact into this movie without it feeling like too much, or even though some people do feel like it's over convoluted and very much rushed. I'm like, are you kidding? This is like the slowest MCU movie that's ever existed.
Absolutely.
There's no way rushed. But they are jam-packing a lot. So the reason where it could feel over convoluted, I think, is because of those missing beats of feeling like we're not getting some real exploration moments that can leave people feeling a little bit like they're missing out on something in particular, something that Coy does not have the association with, but people like me do. But yeah, I mean, so overall, I still kind of wish it was a show, and I feel like this could have been a show. But we got to get to the question.
That's been my gripe for every shortcoming of the recent movies. But yeah, it's questions time. I'm gonna hop into the super chats. Quick shout out: the nerd upstairs says Chloe did her best to make a Justice League movie, which on the second viewing I actually kind of thought more of.
Icarus is playing Henry Cavill's Superman.
Yeah, and they shoot a lot of his solo scenes like they're out of that movie, especially when he's gone the farm visiting Ajax and all that. And Anish Tanjirala says more of Dane Whitman would have been nice. It's funny. I have often been kind of like a Kit Harington skeptic, and pound for pound, I think this is my favorite Kit Harington performance.
Yeah, he was incredible
across the board. Like, it's easy to like him because you like Jon Snow.
8 seasons of Game of Thrones,
but
and 20 minutes of Dane Whitman.
No, yeah, I'm like,
this is my favorite Kit Harington.
It is because Game of Thrones is good, but he just has to show up and do his Jon Snow broody thing. Whereas here, I was like, "Oh,
He
you're
actually had to be
charming,"
the
and
eye
yeah,
line. He had to be
I mean,
us.
no, I
Yeah.
mean, don't get me wrong. I thought Kit Harington was awesome in this movie.
Yeah.
That line that he has when he sees Sprite run up the stairs. And run up the wall, and then he's about to jump over and goes,
Oh my God.
stairs. Yeah, like that.
Nope.
That was perfect.
I love that
delivery.
he's
Perfect.
the human. Like
Yeah.
we had to connect through them, through
Yes.
him, and like it was just genius casting.
He was perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. in that.
Absolutely. All right, William Jones, first super chat of the day. Thank you so much. William Jones says 9 out of 10. Happy that we finally got a character story-driven MCU movie. Everything doesn't have to be all
Oh, sorry guys. Camera coming back on. We got a cannon. Thank you.
Yes. Everything does not have to be all action.
I know. We finally got a character story-driven MCU movie. Never. None of them ever have.
Nobody. I don't know any of the other characters.
Well, I mean,
No,
I'll
but
say
look at
that,
balance. I see what
this
you're
one, clearly its priorities are doing that stuff.
I think it's. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that is the intent, and I'm really happy you feel that way.
Same score I gave it. I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars, 9 out of 10.
That's
if
a
you're going
9.
that way.
If
That's
you
two
multi-
points.
2.75 out
If
of
you
5.
multiply-
I've officially decided.
So that's what
2.7.
5. What would that be? 5.5 out of 10? Is that math? I think so. I think
Trying
that's
to
5.5
make
out
it
of
sound
10.
better than it is.
No, if you do a 10 scale, I'm trying to give you a 10 scale.
I get so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that'd be an F
That
plus.
5.5 is all my appreciation for what they were going for, intention.
You're
and the
half
way
a
it
score
looks.
from a D minus. You're an F plus.
Yeah. Scott Owen.
I just gotta start checking out. But I mean, I really have. I started checking out during the finale the second time around. The finale, I was really checking with the big battles.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, oh, I'm really not into this. But I was really focused for everything.
You know what?
And I'm still on the same opinion of like I really felt like they could have had better written conversations. I thought the debate around humanity was coming down to, do we agree with Aramesh or do we not agree with Aramesh? That's what it kind of all felt like to me.
I'm going to take some heat off Greg here.
Yeah.
I think Armageddon and The Irishman are two aggressively bad films. Overrated in each of their categories, and actually, one of them makes the Criterion Collection less valuable to me, and the other one makes me doubt cinema. So, some heat off Greg. Now you can yell at me. Yell at me. Bring it. I know Greg was worried about saying that.
Careful.
I just said it out loud. I said
Marty's
it.
Eternals 2
Yeah.
is coming.
I'm gonna be honest no matter what. I just gotta be honest.
saying.
Even though I know I'm gonna get a lot of crap, I gotta
respect
be
that.
honest.
It's good. This makes for a good segue because Scott Owen, thank you, Scott. Scott says, personally, like a 7.5 for me. Really, the first and third act, meh to me, but the second act was enjoyable.
You see, it was weird the second time watching it, especially watching it on IMAX the second time around. I was like, the first 25 minutes, I had a thought of, oh shit, was I way off the first time? Do I really like this movie? And then as it progressed, I wasn't really as super into it. And I do think that it does fall. That finale does become like. I appreciate the choice. What I really appreciate about the finale is it's not a build up to fight a super villain. You know what I mean?
It's a moral question because
Yes.
the finale is about whether or not we're worth saving.
Well-
is it worth us surviving to eliminate millions of other lives?
See, I appreciate the question. I don't appreciate the lack of exploration, which I know you don't feel.
I know. We can disagree. We can disagree. I wasn't even going to contest it.
This
I
is a
agree.
perfect sliding scale because I'm over here in the corner going, this brought up a lot more themes and topics than most every other superhero movie I've seen. And now I just wish that I could see these discussions play out.
You see, I think my opinion out of anyone on the internet who probably echoes mine in the most efficient way would be Jeremy Johns' opinion, which is why he's the best. Why he's one of the biggest.
Yeah.
Because I was like, yeah,
my opinion's right, and so is Jeremy's,
Yeah.
and therefore
and he's done on Rotten
That's
Tomatoes.
why I
That's
resonate
right.
with him the most. Validates
I
me.
do think it's important, audience, that you find someone you identify with more often and then follow their stuff because the Rotten Tomatoes scale.
I disagree with Johns so often.
But in general, I think attaching yourself to someone who's got your opinion is more important than Rotten Tomatoes because Rotten Tomatoes isn't the movie 60% Rotten Tomatoes doesn't mean it's 60%
Yes.
good. It means 60% out of however many hundred reviewed it gave it a pass-fail. It's a black and white system that's been colorized. It's taking a photo that was shot in black and white, adding color so
Yes.
it's more
Oh, yeah.
approachable.
It's
What-
literally a boiled down process.
But what I wanted to say though, what I think in terms of like hero versus villain, because I think a lot of the times what I honestly think may be missing for people who are used to typical Marvel films, and this isn't really a super big hindrance to me. Like I don't really care for this, and it just kind of occurred to me now. is that usually a Marvel movie has a build up to a finale to fight a villain. That's usually what your build up is going towards, right?
Yeah.
And here it's not that. It's like, we got to put the Celestial to sleep. That's what you eventually get to. Pass an hour in, then you realize what their goal is. They just have to put it to rest. So what I appreciated with them at least having their big blowout fight was that they decided to use it to have the Icarus reveal and have the big fight be within conflict with Icarus Sprite going up against that and getting and then what I thought was smart about it, what I will credit the movie for on making that choice is Icarus the whole time he is seen as don't mess with him. He is invincible. He is the Omni-Man of our team. He is the Superman of our team. He is our Homelander. You cannot no one can beat him.
Don't even bother.
Don't even try because he's clearly the one everyone's like, oh, thank God Icarus is here. Like
they all call him boss half the time.
So when he turns, it does lead to go, okay, you need the Eternals to work together to take this guy down.
And then at the end, he has to join them.
Yeah, but then Makari just whoops his ass.
Yeah,
like Makari,
man.
I was
She's
like,
the MVP.
shit, we didn't even like Makari's the most powerful one.
Yeah.
Icarus like, I can't. I thought Makari, the way she was brought to life, reminded me of the Injustice Flash. And the way the fight scenes were done, that was fucking great. And like that first moment on the beach when she like fucks up Icarus.
I just love the double reveal of it's a triple reveal. It's Icarus and he's just following orders. He's not a bad guy. He's doing what they've been told to do, and that is so many problems I have with
in the mission.
He completely does, and that's one of the things I have so many problems with authority is because so many times we look back at our history and go, oh fuck, if one person hadn't just listened to authority, that's a longer conversation.
The just following orders thing is responsible for so much of human atrocity across history.
So having someone above human have that decision to be made, that's a fascinating commentary, and that's what all these characters are. They're archetypes on our decisions. So that's one twist. The secondary twist of the deviants effectively being what we could be. If we meet aliens, we are going to be the lesser species, because aliens got the fuck here. We haven't gotten to them. So if and when we ever meet aliens, we're going to be smaller than. So deviants represent something sentient just trying to survive, and they're also just following orders. So deviants are arguably, with the right worldview, with the right perspective, the heroes of this movie. And then the third fucking twist being that the Celestials, which create life, are just trying to create more life, and we are fodder, we are food, we are something to consume, like the Matrix, like a lot of other commentaries on us. So you've got three different perspectives of villainy. At the end of the day, we might be the ones that are wrong, but we think we're right because that's human nature. We always assume we're correct while we're actively a virus destroying this planet.
See, I feel like you have given significantly more commentary towards all those subjects, than the movie actually did.
No, it's right there. Every single act.
If you like extremely, that's what I mean. It's very. I felt like it just touches, and it's very like okay. In the non-spoiler review, the thing that I cut out. There's a little bit that I made where I was like, I'm gonna cut this out, and it was like 5 minutes later, you see Coin like arguing. Was about the deviants specifically. I was like, you do learn that the deviants are essentially like they're created from celestials, so they're just like the Eternals in the sense that they are just these beings created for something of a purpose that they never asked for in any regard, and they're pawns. They're being used as well. And
they're also having their natural evolution be mitigated and stomped upon.
So there was I thought there was a real a time where I was like, oh, this is interesting things you could do. You could really have a conversation here about the fact that like these people who we've been here for thousands of years for, mainly just to kill these guys, we're a lot like them, more than we realize, and they don't. I saw it twice, and
2 hours and 40 minutes, Greg.
I looked out for it, and you were saying to me that
it was there in the scene in the cave.
What do you mean it's the scene in the cave? What are you talking about?
As soon as he gets a voice,
boys, it's gonna be all right.
What are you?
Gonna be all right.
As soon as he,
I love being in the middle of you two. I love sitting over here going, man, everything Greg's saying is like how I feel about most of these movies, and in this movie, I'm like. You could have gone much further, but they went a lot further than a lot of other ones. But
you're
also,
exactly in the middle.
But I'm like, like the deviant scene, I'm like, my gripe is it's one good moment, and the rest of them is just they serve the purpose of bringing
It's
the
like-
But you
action
give those
scenes
three.
to the
Those
movie.
are three giant things. You cannot focus unless this was a trilogy, which you can't guarantee with box office. You can't get scheduling of all these actors 3 times. You can't guarantee this is going to do well enough. So what I liked is that they made a trilogy in one movie. I would love a show. It's not. It's
That's
not.
a good way to
I
put
mean,
it.
a trilogy in one movie sounds like they compacted too much in one movie.
I would.
though.
I don't disagree. Which is why it's not a
yeah.
10. But at the same time,
I am sitting here at a multiversal crossroads where both of you are correct, and I agree with you both because I'm
But
like,
I want this
Co-
story
co-
told,
do
and
one
there's
movie's
no
worth of
guarantee.
well fleshed out shit, but at the same time, I'm like, but they did get these 3 kind of gray conflicts into one
And they've
big
done.
picture.
Marvel has
So-
done what you're describing. Marvel has done one. Well, excuse me.
But I think
I'd rather
giving-
bite off more than you can chew every so often. And there's some dude in the chat in the spoiler free that was like, "Koi's projecting a lot here. Art is projecting. You're experiencing what you see the fucking art as."
Yes.
So yeah, I think
Guys,
it's good that some
guys,
people got more.
I
out of
need
it.
to validate you both really
Thanks,
quick.
John.
I need to validate you both. Faith Getty's in the chat loves Greg's honesty and appreciates it about the film. And Jonas Diaz agrees that The Irishman is overrated.
Yeah, another.
So you both are pretty.
That's all we're here for. Really.
I don't think giving credit to other areas of this movie disregards what I consider to be a valid criticism of what the movie lacks.
Also fair.
And not
Yes.
disagreeing with you, I just don't think it affected me as negatively, so it doesn't hurt my feeling on the film because I was able to have my own. Reading a comic is thinking about the space between the panels. Every panel you're interpreting in between that. I got enough to interpret the space between the panels. This didn't need to be a 6-hour movie. You didn't, and that's A-okay.
Yeah.
But that's why I liked it more than you because we both love a lot of the same shit.
Yeah, I just felt like the Deviants. I liked them more the first time I watched them. The second time around, I was like, oh, because like the first 4 times you see the Deviants, they're just getting their asses handed to them. Like the first 4 times, I counted. I was like, okay, every time. And then by the time you get to, and I understand that, like, I was like, okay, the movie is planting the seed so that, like, when Gilgamesh is fighting a Deviant in the flashback, that he does need help.
Right.
He can't just do this by himself. So I was like, okay, smart on the movie to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like by the time they introduced this big thing, I'm like, oh, that to me, the movie's been about the main catalyst plot has been Eternals versus Deviants. I really feel like the movie should have added just a few more minutes to that, regardless.
I could have done with
And then
another
Feige
20
should have
minutes
said-
of this movie, and that's the issue is we've lived through 25 Marvel films where whether you love them or hate them, you could say like, oh, it was pretty well clear and spelled out what we were trying to achieve. I like the fact that this movie is going to be a conversation about whether it registered or not. I've never had a conversation with you where it was like, did this emotionally impact you or no? I don't think we could feel that way about any other Marvel movie.
Yeah.
It's a yes or no. It's worked or not. This is
Yes.
really interpretive because it's so bold. And all these people saying it fucking follows the MCU formula. What fucking MCU formula are we watching? This doesn't have any origin story. It's not the hero's journey. It's differently paced. It's arguably a 5-act structure like a play. Everyone's saying it's like cut and dry, but slower. Like, you watched a different movie than me, bro.
And that's the magic of this film. Hey,
John,
Jamie
keep-
Hutchinson has
Keep us on track, John.
a super chat
Keep
here.
us on track, John.
Really quick,
Coin are gonna fight.
another quick piece of validation for us. Hudson Knipe in the main chat says, just want to say I love Greg and John. However, adding Koi to this channel so often is straight fire 100.
Yeah.
So heck
I'm always
yeah.
honored to be here.
Jamie
I
Hutchinson.
wouldn't do this without Koi.
Jamie Hutchinson. Thank
and
you.
We've never fought each other on movie fights.
And that's fucking crazy.
And I've like
You
I've gone
guys
up against-
would-
What's happening now?
The studio would burn to the ground. The mics would catch fire.
Hal is just sitting on the side like,
Hal is just gonna be a crispy, burnt up
and
like,
the third
corpse by the
person
end.
on the desk is just uncomfortably sitting there. Why was I invited?
I fought my way up to fighting a one-on-one match with Dan Merle, and I was like, man, but I've never fought Koi.
I beat Dan 3 times.
I would love
Oh
to.
shit!
That's right. That's why Christian brought me to the Schmodown. He thought I'd be good, but I'm awful at it.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. All right, John, keep us on
That's
track.
why I
I'm sorry.
relate to you as a manager. All right, Jamie Hutchinson. What did you think? Ooh, maybe I'll take this one first. Jamie Hutchinson, because this is something I found myself appreciating a lot the second time, was what did you think of the editing of the film? And honestly, this is a movie where there are definitely times where I'm like, oh, I feel like something got excised heavily from this part or that part. But for the most part of my viewing experience, especially the second time, I found myself very much admiring the physical editing choices, I'll say. It's a little muddier in terms of the overall intellectual viewing experience, but I think the grace with which so many of the scenes are stitched together through motion, through matching, through just, framing and whatnot, I think is really well planned out, and it really, really lends credibility to all the different effects, whether they be the wire effects, whether they be the CG effects, the physical effects, the practical makeup effects. Like, there are especially things like lending credibility to Icarus's flight and floating and things like that, where they're clearly like panning around somebody on wires and matching that to a new shot. Like, I thought a lot of the way that they edited this helped to smooth the ways in which they were folding the story together. It's like, okay, here's a flashback, and now we're jumping back to the present, and you're going so many places and times in this movie that I thought actually, for the most part, the editing combined with the cinematography was quite graceful and quite poised. So when aside from the times where I could sense that, there was something else here that was supposed to fluidly connect whatever scenes. I thought
sex scene.
That sex scene was so, God, new angle every half a second. Jeez.
The fluids.
Man, the fluids in the sex
yeah.
scene. That's what everyone's acting like it was like.
Sex scene was crazy. It was a crazy oneer. It was a crazy one shot.
Nice long oneer in a hallway.
Yeah.
See, I loved the movies that that capture this tone and this pacing. I really do. And it just, for me, it's like at the end of the day, if I'm not connecting with the writing or the overall storytelling, it's just not really going to work for me. Mm-hmm. But I don't think the movie's edited poorly. I see a lot of people complain about the pace, and I'm like, I don't think the pace is the problem, personally. As much as I'm on the camp of like, meh, I don't think the pace is the problem. I do think there are some moments that are what I call Nolan edited. Where it's like like the scene when Icarus
Can't hear anyone.
No, not sound design. I'm talking about like the scene.
Is that another pilot flying by over my dialogue?
The scene when I think it's the scene when Icarus and Cersei are first like getting to know each other. You're beautiful, holding hands for the proposal. The way they're like cutting around there is a little bit odd. It feels like Nolan editing, but I was thinking they were going for an ethereal effect. Yeah, I was like, there's a lot of cutting happening here, and there's a lot of like skipping, like 2 seconds, skip 3 seconds, skip 4. Like there's like little moments we're skipping. It's like jump cuts, but with different shots. And then sometimes the editing would note towards the end, that time when Fastos says bye to Druig, gives him the hug, a moment I appreciated. And then it just cuts to the ship leaving.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, ship's leaving. But overall, I don't think the movie, in terms of editing for what they had to handle, I don't think it's particularly, I don't think the pacing is the thing that is an issue for me.
I made the mistake of realizing the full live chat's over there, and I glanced at it, and I realized, so someone said Coy is like listening to Stan Twitter in real life. I want to defend the fact that Greg thought it was like a
Don't
5.5.
read the chat. It's my job to read the chat and pick the
God
flattering
damn it, Coy.
comments.
I know, but
There's a reason we gave John the chat.
I've got a thing to say
I'm
that's
here
relevant.
to pick the validating comments.
I would
all
say
right?
you see it as like an 8 or 7 or 8.
7.5 to 8, yeah.
5.5.
5.5 to 6, somewhere there.
So 5.5 to 6,
somewhere
7.5 to 8. As an 8.5 to 9 person, I'm defending the things I experienced, but by my defending them with fact and logic and examples negates your Stan bullshit. Because Stans just say it was good for the sake of being Marvel. A Stan, by their nature, are above a fanatic. It is based on the Eminem concept of being a Stan. Someone that's such a fanatic, they become fanatical and stalk.
I mean,
and
you had
see
a fifth
things
of
blindly.
vodka on the way
Dare
over
me to
here.
drive?
Yeah.
So, like, I would argue I'm giving you different examples. And therefore, I'm not a Stan. I'm not a Stan, so I'm saying what I liked about it with examples, so don't give me that shit.
Hells yeah. Alrighty. Hey, quick one from the live chat. Bri T says, you three are the Unimind of movie reviews. Let your forces be combined. And I like that metaphor, especially for this movie, because the Unimind half the time picks up people who aren't even on board. Like in the finale, they're like, it's a good thing Unimind picked up Icarus, because holy shit, guys. Anyway, Pandemic Jones. Love you, Pandemic Jones, over at the
PJ.
Patreon. Shouts out. I thought it was good. As far as MCU origin movies, it's in the top for me. I thought pretty much each Eternal had a badass moment. The real debate, though, who had the more attractive cast? Dune or Eternals? Ooh.
A Knight's Tale.
Ooh.
Oh, Dude, oh my God, Rebecca Ferguson. You just can't top her.
She's, it's hard to top her. It's hard to top Rebecca
Gemma
Ferguson.
Chan is like such an ethereal beauty, and then you add Angelina
Too
Jolie.
unattainable for me.
But Rebecca Ferguson isn't. I could totally get Rebecca
It
Ferguson.
feels so terrible because I have looked up the actress who plays Makari, her name so many times.
Yeah, I keep slipping because I see her as
Yeah.
Makari because it's my first introduction to her.
Yeah.
But, like,
there's
all
something
of them-
sexual about the Dune cast.
There's something very sexual.
You got like
Yeah.
Brolin, Oscar
Lauren
Isaac.
I do think like Timmy Chalamet definitely wants to fuck
Chalamet.
everybody.
Yeah.
Like, there's
Everyone
an,
wants
there's
to
an
fuck Timmy
aura.
Chalamet.
Yeah,
It's
and
both.
but it's reciprocated.
Even
like a
Stellan
magnet for boning.
Skarsgård in that movie is just like
I'm arriving in this oil of sex.
Oh my God.
But you've got Richard Madden with his Scott accent. You've got my boy Barry with his Irish accent. You've got a lot more like there's a lot more going on with worldly culture and like that's sexy to me. Like there's definitely I feel like fucking this cast you'd learn more about yourself.
it's the Eternals cast is definitely.
If
the
you
more
ever get a
that.
chance to fuck this cast, please.
You're gonna fuck this cast. You're gonna learn a lot about yourself. Would you fuck the Dune cast? You get sand.
I think it depends on the. I think it depends on your sexual orientation, really, or your sexual preferences.
I would
because-
rather have sex in the locations from Eternals.
That's for damn sure. Both are sandy. One seems like it's more hospitable.
yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna go Eternals, and I wouldn't have thought that until I'd seen the movie because I kept
Actually,
saying Dune
no.
was.
I think Eternals.
I don't-
yeah. We got Gemma Chan and Angelina Jolie.
Come on, Anna
Guys,
Faris,
you've
Makari.
got Selma Hayek.
Selma
come,
Hayek?
come now.
Richard
Come
Madden,
now.
Barry Keoghan.
I guess Richard Madden, Kit Harington.
Oh, I
Kit
finally
Harington?
learned how to say that guy's name. And I'm not going to tell either of you how it works.
But the Dune cast is one of the sexiest of all time assembled. Great question because it is actually very tricky.
Yes.
yes. Koi's rating, Avi Ron, was about 8.5 to 9 for this movie.
B plus A minus.
Anyway, Povenmire, thoughts on Batman and Superman references? Oh, you better believe there are thoughts on the Batman and Superman references. Seemed weird to me that they referenced two of their competitors' biggest characters, but also at least one of those characters is an inspiration for one of these characters. So.
Well, I think it's not. It would be weird if they were like, if they referenced, I don't know, Dark Side or something like that. That's when I think it would be weird. Batman and Superman are such a big part of. I mean, that kind of eliminates the whole thing. I mean, it doesn't really, because it could just be DC Comics exist in this world. But it doesn't eliminate the possibility maybe DC and Marvel could cross over.
It does,
Yeah.
because they didn't reference
They
it
didn't
as
reference
fiction,
it as
nonfiction.
yeah, exactly.
It was
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
clearly
it was
like, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but okay, the first time it's referenced is the Alfred thing, and then at first I was like, that's cute, and then they do the Superman.
I'm like, wait, does
And,
Superman exist in this world?
and the premiere, I remember being there, and when they said Superman, it was followed with a laughter followed by a wait, what's going on right now? Like,
like a nervous tick.
everyone in the audience was like, what's going on? Why are they doing? They just did two right now. Everyone became hyper aware of it.
And then the week later, The Rock was on a red carpet saying, I've been talking to Deadpool and Wonder
Yeah.
Woman, and
Yes.
we're trying to make this happen. I'm not tinfoil hats what I do, but like this doesn't seem like they set them as fiction or nonfiction, which
I think Zhao came out and talked about how this whole story is an embodiment of just hero mythology. So like referencing them was very intentional in that regard. Because I think at the end of the day, you know, you probably put Spider-Man up there, but I feel like there's no two comic book characters. I'm not talking about their films or whatever. Like it's not a debate about that. Batman and Superman just exceed a whole new era of iconography in pop culture, medium, entertainment. Like everyone in the world knows of Batman and Superman.
And,
like the
everyone.
Spider-Man movie said, you're not Superman, you know?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Aunt May said that
Yeah.
shit
Exactly.
in the Raimi movie. So like it's
Yeah.
always kind of that commentary.
Yeah.
But I also hope they show up.
I mean, that'd be cool if they one
the
day they're
multiverse
gonna have
exists,
to.
the DC can exist.
So
One
in,
day they're gonna have to.
so in the live chat, I'm just noticing a lot of people would smash the Dune cast first.
Respect.
Mr. Vaju over here is going for the goat, saying hated Dune, hated Eternals, hated Venom 2. Awesome
That's
for you,
sad, man.
Mr.
Like, what's
Vaju.
your life like? Do you
And-
just not enjoy going to the movies? Don't go to the movies.
And-
Do something else, play chess.
Right.
And Erica just wishes Koi saw the glimpses of all the love we are giving him here. So
Aw,
Koi,
thank
this
you,
is how the internet
Erica.
works. You catch the one comment that hates you,
That's
and
just
you ignore all the rest. Let's
hot
do one
stove.
more super chat, and then we'll hop over to the Streamlabs because we got some over there as
we
well.
gotta start getting focused on these guys. We gotta be a little more efficient.
Derek
I can't be here
Sword.
all day. I got so much more to film.
Derek Sword, can you guys please react to the fan-made video called An Undying Promise? It's a compilation of Snyder's DC films with great editing and music. The thing at the end there is probably the main reason why we cannot guarantee something like that, because especially fan-made edits are awesome, but they often rely on popular music, which will get us demonetized in a jiffy.
And already Koi's lucrative amount of sex talk here has gotten this live stream demonetized.
No,
It was tasteful.
I've said nothing out of pocket.
It was
What have I
tasteful.
said?
It is far from tasteful.
It has not even gotten NC-17
I'm ready to fuck
yet,
the dude.
but it
Yes,
can.
we're fucking
Hey,
ready.
someone asked. I didn't say that out of nowhere. It was questioned upon me.
That's a sexy
Is there an
goon.
anti-sex YouTube thing?
I mean,
Yeah, you talk about they're-
Really? That's
They don't
fascinating.
like.
It's weird. Like we could
This
include
is
violence
America,
a lot of
Koi.
That's
that.
what I'm saying. It's sexual. You
You
could
should
shoot a guy
know.
in the head, and that's fine. But if you talk about a thing that actually creates man instead of killing it, it's a problem.
We live in America where that's way more problematic.
Fuck more, fight less.
I would much rather you go out and clobber a stranger than make love. Hey, Curtis Mason on the Streamlabs. Thank you
Hey.
so much. There is a pinned link up there. All contributions are very much appreciated. Streamlabs just takes a little less cut off the top. Just saw Eternals, Curtis Mason says, last night. Fun movie, but I think a lot of casual fans might get confused. Perhaps it would have been better as a Disney Plus show with how much info is in it. I'm interested to hear your guys' uncensored thoughts on the movie. Well, you're here. You're doing it now. The uncensored thoughts are happening.
Yeah, what I would say really quick is that, okay, since we already talked so much about this extensively, I'm going to throw another hat in the ring here. We got to put a timer on this. We got to answer some of these questions. All right, we got to be respectful here. I don't feel like Richard Madden and Gemma Chan, they had almost no chemistry for me. And it really bothered the hell out of me. And don't you fucking say that shit's intentional. They were together for 5,000 years.
I'm gonna say,
have some chemistry.
one of my only negatives of the film was that. I'm
Okay,
I'm
all right.
I'm here. I'm with you.
like,
I
damn.
saw you. I saw the hackles.
Yeah.
One of my only negatives of the film is I completely bought her and Kit Harington. And I know you needed to buy that more because it's the conflict. But if you don't buy the other at all, you're like, well, just go be with Kit Harington. Like, so the love triangle was more of a love rectangle because I was just like,
I was like, their dynamics of when they fell in love don't feel all that different to me when they're not in love.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was a problem for
I
me.
really feel like they had. It's like you guys have been together for 5,000 years. I don't even feel like you guys dated for 6 months.
I feel like the audience had more sexual tension with Richard Madden than she did. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like everyone was like, oh, the Scots.
And
And
like
like,
just brooding and on the brink of sweat every scene. Like, that I think his character trait was, if I don't blink, that's my character.
lasers might shoot at any time.
Just don't blink.
But I agree, and that is one of my negatives. I'll maintain
Yeah.
that.
Don't lose faith, Ibrahim Khan. We're going to jump back to the Super Chats ASAP, but we do got to check out the Streamlabs as well. Dan V, I liked Eternals, but it had quite a few issues. I feel like I'm the only one who noticed all the traveling in one day. Before they got the Domo, there's no way they'd make it in time. Honestly, it was just regular plane. It was just a regular plane they were on night 6.
Read all of Dan V's.
Not believable. And then Dan V goes on to say, Selma Hayek wasn't very good as Ajak and was miscast. I don't believe what she was saying whatsoever, sorry. And sorry, it's so far away.
Yeah, it's not too
And
long.
she didn't
I'll
have
help you out, I'll help you out. And she didn't have the gravitas with her words. Jeffrey Wright or Rebecca Ferguson would have been more believable in the role. Not great. Keep going up.
Yeah.
Damn, Dan V, you really took advantage here. The ending was incredibly abrupt, and it made it feel like the film wasn't complete just to set up a sequel. I didn't buy Leah McHugh as Sprite as this old soul compared to Aidan Gallagher as number 5 in Umbrella Academy, where I buy that he's an old man. The pacing wasn't great. The deaths weren't impactful. There just wasn't oh my god, there's a lot here. Okay.
He's got thoughts.
The deaths weren't impactful. There just wasn't a lot of chemistry with the cast other than Gilgamesh Thena, where Don Lee was okay, this guy's echoing a lot of my opinions. At least that's one good thing about reading all
Slow
this.
down.
Fastest round. I liked Makari and Druid together, but not Madden and Chan. Gingo and the valet were standouts. I wanted to see the documentary. That Pip CGI was atrocious. We definitely got to talk about that. Not showing Mahershala Ali on camera, where he just needed a black shirt and sunglasses.
Oh,
Would be
that was
like not
very
sure
intentional.
the end of I Am One. Iron Man 1. And then last thing, a movie like Mask of the Phantasm was far better with its placement of flashbacks. Makari as a character was underutilized, and I couldn't remember her name. Had to Google her after. The deviants weren't necessary. We got a Superman flash fight, though. Okay, I definitely agree with you on a decent amount of this. Let's go back to the first point about what was he saying about Selma Hayek specifically?
Being miscast
Lack
as
of
Ajax.
gravitas. I liked her because she needed to be. She was maternal. She represented like Mother Nature herself.
Maternals?
Maternals. Yeah, I thought Selma Hayek did a good job. That's one thing I can't meet you there.
I thought she showed up.
She brought like the passion and the choice for because you have that scene with Aramesh early on where she's like, Aramesh, I'm kind of feeling these humans. These humans are like the shit, I'm maybe. And he's like, don't forget the plan. And then later on, my issue from a plot standpoint, this was my issue from a plot standpoint.
Absolutely.
Was, you mean to tell me you waited 6 days until this is going to happen to be like, we got to stop this? You had thousands of years to think about this. Thousands upon thousands of years.
Just found out.
She just found out what?
But she told Icarus when they left Babylon.
Yeah,
didn't
Icarus
she?
was the bad guy. He wanted it to happen.
But
I'm saying
but
they had
was
thousands
she
of
trying
years
to stop it
She
before
knew
that?
this was always going to happen.
Yeah, but she didn't realize like that they were causing it to be like fuel. They thought they could save people.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Cersei only found out a week.
Ajax? I'm talking about Ajax.
Oh, Ajax. Ajax wanted us to die. I feel like Ajax was cool with it. I feel like
Ajax is the one who tells Icarus directly we have to stop. That's why Richard Madden kills her.
yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
I take it back. I thought we were talking about Cersei this whole time. I didn't know you were talking. You're right. We're talking about someone.
Listen.
You know what? I've had a lot of children
Stop
of Loki.
reading the chat.
God damn it.
Stop getting in your head in the chat.
That was my fault.
When I was the second time I watched it, I'm like, why'd you wait thousands of years and why are you? And it's so obvious to me, like the one person who's not gonna be on your side on this one, it's gonna be Icarus. Why are you confiding in Icarus specifically about this?
Agreed.
And why did you take that like that from a plot standpoint? I'm like, this isn't like something you just learned. This has been thousands of years you've had time to think about this.
You're not wrong.
And so that was the one part of the plot. I'm like, you could have come up with a plan ages ago. Even like a year ago, you had to plan to come up with this.
Should we talk post-credit scene while I mentioned Pip?
Yeah. Let's go to the very end of his, and let's talk about Pip. Let's talk about the post-credit scene. We're talking post-credit scene at this point.
Spoilers for a movie we've been talking about for an hour.
But Pip was a terrible CGI.
Pip the Troll.
But I like the scenes. I do.
I love the scenes. I do agree
I
that
like the
and
scenes.
Patton Oswalt's a great Pip. I think Patton Oswalt as Pip is
It's
genius.
a good choice, yeah.
But I do feel like it was some Phase 2 CGI. And I also
It's
love
butt CGI.
It looked like butt, but I truly think Harry Styles is a perfect Eros / Star Fox because the guy you want to love Harry Styles by default. So anytime he's like a treacherous betrayer, you're gonna be like, I believed in you, Harry Styles. So I think it's perfect. It also is a really smart way to bring in a new audience. A lot of people that are like Harry Styles stans are gonna immediately fold into whatever weird cosmic entity movie. It might educate some people that aren't necessarily reading into a different, broader worldview. I'm one of the biggest Harry Styles fans that never knew he was in One Direction. I've been a big... Yeah. I own 2 Harry Styles albums and found out a month ago he was in One Direction and had a big ol' epiphany. I think he's a genius, and he's one of the best in the world to treat his fans and to be the forefront of moving things forward. I think he's really using his fame and his brand and his ness to allow us to progress as a culture. So for him to be in Marvel gives me a lot of hope for his audience, who's very progressive and who's very aware of things needing to be changed to fold into the MCU, while simultaneously having When He Betrays Us feel extra zesty. Love you, Harry Styles.
He's like the next...
Zesty.
He's like the next, perhaps more talented actor, Justin Timberlake scenario.
Perhaps. He's like Leo and Justin
like
combined.
a guy who came from a boy band, went solo, got more popular, lovable in interviews and stuff, became an actor, started getting taken seriously as an actor, and now going down the actor path. Because I personally never got into One Direction. And
Watermelon
You?
Sugar, man.
but I
Fucking solo album.
but I think Harry Styles is a really good actor, and I really liked his scene there. And in terms of who the Eros character, I think the thing is, if you don't know Eros, which I don't really know Eros, I like Gauntlet. That was about it. But if you don't know Eros at all, if you hear Thanos' brother, and that's all you know,
Intrigue.
If you hear Thanos' brother, and that's all you know is like, oh, he's Thanos' brother, and then you hear Harry Styles, I can see why some people might have a negative connotation because they don't. you would probably imagine, how can this guy be Thanos' brother?
Right.
Because they don't realize that, no, Eros is wildly different
Yeah,
than
very
Thanos.
intentionally.
Yeah. And
Have you seen any of his concert stuff? Like he's like his performances. He's like pulling people out
sure
of the
he's
crowds.
amazing.
He like helps people come out. Like people hold up signs, and he's like, "My mom's." In the
I've
dog,
seen
and
him in
hold
a
up
lot
the-"
of interviews.
Like he's just
and
so
stuff.
good.
Yes.
Just
Now
so
the
good.
question becomes: do
I
they
like him.
bring BTS into the universe?
I hope so.
'Cause they name checked him.
I
They
hope
do.
so.
I think it's
Name
only a
checked
matter
him.
of time.
But and
New
then,
team.
and then the Blade moment.
Oh, I loved it so fucking much.
Coy, did you know that was Blade?
Yes, immediately.
Oh my god,
We were all like, "This is Jeffrey Wright."
I
right?
thought it was known.
We were all surrounded
Okay.
by a group of people that are all.
This is why
all
you
thought
guys
it was
should have
Jeffrey
brought
Wright.
me into your screening because it was obviously Mahershala. Now, in fairness, I went to he was in my acting studio for a bit, so like I know Mahershala's voice really well because like we've acted opposite each other.
Almost
But-
name drop.
Wow.
But it's just a fact. It's the context of his voice. Like when I hear his voice, I know that voice well. How else do I explain it without name dropping?
How does it feel to know that he's Blade, and you're on the Real Rejects?
Did you know that I was doing a play with Alden when he found out he was Han Solo?
Oh, what?
That.
Same acting
That's
studio.
not the same
I've
thing.
succeeded.
That's not the same thing.
No, I'm saying
you're
I've,
so
I've,
beautiful,
I've just
Coy.
gone. Those two were in the same studio with me. They've done better.
Kevin
than me.
Well,
Feige
my
watches
Here
this
I am
channel.
on the Real Rejects, loving this. No,
Well,
I'd rather be here. I'd rather be here.
If there's anything about LA, is you're constantly surrounded by people who are like, man, my friends are more successful than me.
But you know what? I don't have to repeat myself on camera. I like this. I like hosting more.
It's okay.
And I'll get that Carson Daly money one day.
I'll
Anyway, the
I'll
point
repeat
being,
myself.
Mahershala is so iconic and his voice is so clear, and the Ebony Blade is so tied to like the Midnight Sun's darker side of Marvel that to me it made sense. I actually the article came out that a friend of mine, Ash, did the confirmation interview, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, that was him!" And I was like, "I thought that was a 3-week-old news story." Like I had no idea. People didn't know.
Oh,
until
dude,
this week.
it blew our minds. We just learned the other day.
You just learned it yesterday.
That's why we didn't talk about it because I thought it was just like, oh,
2 days ago,
Blade.
whatever.
Yeah, it's because we had just finished watching What If?
He sounds so different than Jeffrey Wright. His voice has a
In
less
like,
gravel. It's an octave lower.
It's
a
in
less gravel
3
to it.
words.
When you hear 3 words and it's off camera and it's someone watching him,
That's why I
it's
name
easy
dropped.
to go,
That's why I name dropped, 'cause I
is
had to give
that fucking-
context.
It's gotta be Jeffrey Wright.
You know who I've never acted opposite
Moshi.
Jeffrey Wright.
Moshi.
I don't know Jeffrey Wright, so frankly, I wouldn't know his voice.
He didn't go to our acting workshop.
So I don't know this
Jeffrey
Jeffrey
Wright
Wright
can
guy.
go burn.
Oh, you know, Commissioner
just-
Gordon can figure it out.
I just heard silence throughout all those Watcher monologues on What If. Anyway, Moshi's up next. People went to this expecting Gundam, but got Eva. I assume you mean Evangelion, and don't know how to process it. Hell, even had an impact. In the middle of the film, I thought I was watching an anime. It has similar themes and structure as varying series and movies. I adored it.
Yeah, you like anime show.
A lot of info dumping.
Show.
Series,
That's what it
25
should've been.
episodes.
I would
I'm
love it.
glad
20
you. I'm
minutes.
glad you. It really clicked for you.
I also like your metaphor between Gundam and Eva because that's fair, and I think that's really important to assess like how you go into a thing. This was also advertised appropriately. The trailer showed a conversation kind of film.
You know what I really love is I think
Our
and
mic doesn't have a good blast.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
I think
There it is.
I'm sorry, it's this. If
it keeps going limp.
I mean,
on
if
me.
somebody wants to go into my backpack and get my multi-tool, we can fix that really
it's
quick.
the amount
but
of flaccid. It just won't stay turgid.
It's
You
all
wanted
good.
Here's the YouTube dynamization. My mic won't stay.
My mic sounds
okay.
nice.
I want it to be tumultuous.
Flevulous Doran. I liked Eternals. Only thing for so open the front pouch and at the bottom there's a little.
I just needed to last
thing.
more than 4 hours to consult my doctor.
Flev, I liked Eternals. Only thing for me to love it was that I needed more. As someone who loves someone who loves character-driven films, sorry, I loved it from that perspective, and plot was a basic end of the world, heroes gotta save it, in my opinion, a character-driven film.
I agree with Flev Dorian. I'm with you.
So yeah, I mean, it definitely kind of grapples between the two to some extent. It definitely grapples a bit between the two, but I appreciate that this is perhaps the most earnest to me effort that they've done in the MCU of doing something that truly seems like it's committed to being sort of a character thing first. Even though it has all the big action shit that you expect.
And I actually liked the talking more than the action. There were times I was like, this action scene could have been a minute shorter for a minute more talking. And that's not how I usually feel. Like I
would absolutely make that trade.
Yeah, like, and I think that's why I like Loki so much more than a lot of these action-based shows. Is Loki got into like some strange existential ponderings, and this does too. But I feel like because this was a movie, it felt like it had to jump to an action set piece. So I would have preferred a show as well. I'm with Greg on that. And Flabdorian.
Yeah, I think especially when the second time they cut to the flashbacks, like the second time you see Thena, I'm like, man, this is the second flashback with Thena, and all she's doing is fighting.
I would watch just a Fasto show and just a Thena show and just a Druid show. Like, that's where I'm at with these characters. I want more.
Well, I think like they really could have just done a thing where this, you know how like the Marvel Netflix shows would have an episode that usually like it was episode 3 or 4 that would usually tell like an origin tale of how they got there. So I'm like, yeah, you would just do like one episode that was like mainly like Druid focused, one episode that was mainly. So with Druid, I got a question. Actually, no, we got to focus on the questions.
All right.
I'll never know.
But I will get to the question. Remind me of a Druid ponder that I had.
The first Druid super chat. We'll lean into that.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Dan V is back. A big no problem. A big problem is that people don't get how to read Rotten Tomatoes. I agree with you. The percentage just counts positive and negative reviews. The average rating gets ignored, which is far more important. Eternals has a higher than average rating than Venom. A higher average rating than Venom 2 with 5.6 versus 5.4 out of 10 from critics. And I mean, I think
I gotta be on Rotten Tomatoes.
and I think that's a great point because the thing is, everyone says like, oh, this is the lowest rated MCU since Thor: The Dark World, and I feel like that headline misleads the just the initial reaction you have is, oh, so it's worse than that movie. But Rotten Tomatoes, you have to cruise the capsules and maybe even then read the full review because that's where all the nuances lie. Because every review is boiled down to a number and then applied to the tomato meter.
Are you saying just reading a sensationalized headline is bad for our culture?
It could be.
Okay.
Studies have shown.
We should look into that.
I don't know.
Here on
I'll
this
wait for
channel.
another headline to tell me what it's.
Yes.
But I think
That's enough.
That's where I get all my opinions.
I think what happens too with this whole attack Rotten Tomatoes thing is all people reading are capsules. Now, are there a couple of reviews on there that I've read where I'm like, ew, I wouldn't say that. Like that's fucking weird.
So many of the
there's-
Rottens are like, what did you see?
There's a couple of like full. I've read through a lot of the full reviews, and I'm like, if you just read the capsule, it sounds like this person just hates it. But then a lot of times, if you click on the reviews, they're definitely more nuanced than what the fucking capsule is. So a lot of people, it's become this like
it's this process
It's-
of like the number is the most boiled down, and then the capsule is
Next
the
tier.
second most boiled down, and then if you actually go read a review, that's the real nuance.
It's funny that like DC had this war with Rotten Tomatoes for
Jesus
so long.
Christ.
Yeah.
This is Marvel. This is the MCU's first experience.
I
with
tweeted it, man. Like the idea that we made this Rotten Tomatoes score no Marvel versus DC thing is why I'm worried about every election going forward. Like our tribalism is terrifying.
I hope Marvel takes the whole Rotten Tomatoes of this as a win. That's all I'm saying. Fun me, it's good to see you again. Fun me, love ya, patron. Otherwise, 7 out of 10 rating. Makari better than Quicksilver. They captured her powers so well. Loved Snyder influence. Pumped for Blade and Black Knight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think because the actress who plays Makari, forgive me for not knowing her. Do you know her name, John?
we look it up.
See,
even
had
those
it,
2 minutes.
I had it in my
those 2
brain.
minutes.
It's funny. I don't know why I can't retain it because
I got this.
I'm attracted to her.
But I think the benefit of having
Which
an
isn't the
actress like
reason
her
to know
who is
someone's name.
who is actually
Sorry, Lauren Ridloff.
Lauren
Ridloff. I was very compelled by her presence and her performance.
The thing is like she has the kind of performances that I most love on screen, where there's so much going on, and because of the fact that she's deaf. Is she deaf and mute in real life?
I believe so, but I don't know for sure.
Okay, sure she's deaf, and the fact because of that, all she has to really rely on is her body language, her facial expressions to really communicate a full performance. And I love when that's why I love Ryan Gosling so much, is I think he's so good at that.
Yeah.
and I feel like she really has that capability, which I love seeing on the big screen, because like she has this unfortunate situation, but she's managed to make something beautiful out of it. And Yeah, so I think Makari's great in the film. I love the energy she brings, the presence. She brings a surprising amount of nuance to that character who doesn't have that much screen time.
Did you know that her and Druid wasn't in the script? It was just Barry Kehone's chemistry with her.
He's like, I want to do with this girl.
They literally were like, they were on set and there was like this friction and they like wrote it in.
We can't get these two off each other. Let's just film
I
it.
think that's so magical.
I think that's
really
lovely
special.
too, actually, because I did walk away having that as my favorite relation. Yeah, my favorite
and that was
ship,
all
yeah.
improv based. It was literally out of the scripts. It wasn't ever involved, and then it happened.
Shouts out.
Barry was making moves on Angelino, wasn't panning out.
Yeah,
making moves on Gemma Chan, wasn't panning
Mr.
out.
If Mr. and Mrs. Smith taught us a lesson,
Don
it's
Lee
that it's
didn't
dangerous to
pan
have these
out.
on-set things.
Hey, thank you everybody in the chat for getting Lauren Ridloff's name, and somebody I'm sorry I've forgotten who posted this, but someone wants Coy to direct Eternals too. So
Yes, sign me
I want
up.
to see what director Coy is like. Oh, and there's a continuation from Flev Shazbot. You must have like gotten squinched putting them in at the same time, but Flev goes on to say, it works best when you follow their adventures, and because we spent so much time in character building, we didn't have time for the adventure part with all of them together. This is a multi-part story and can't wait for the next one.
I'm really excited for an Eternals too. I really hope we get more.
It would be nice. It would be nice, absolutely. I mean, I've heard them say that just a sequel movie isn't necessarily what they had planned, but the characters will go on. So
That sounded like a thing that they were just saying because they were like, ooh, these reviews are bad.
yeah,
It definitely was a press release.
I can see that. Haskell
The
420
movie ends with a sequel setup. What
are you talking about?
You will be judged.
Yeah,
and then like,
that's true.
We're not going to get a
Might
sequel.
put this- yeah, no, it hurts me. That's one of the reasons I'm defending it so hard.
Haskell 420. Hey, Greg and John and Corky Merck's manager, Koi Cast, Koi Cubed, host and of the Koi Pond, Leader Koi.
Guys, I'm a
saw
narcissist.
Your title has grown so long. I saw this on Thursday and Friday. I really enjoyed it, even with its issues. This was so different and feels so much more. Could have been done to make this better. Makes me wonder why Feige let it all alone.
Let me help you out, John.
Yes.
Left it all alone because pretty much everyone but him recognized a lot of wrong in this. How do you know that? Anyway, one of the most, oh my God, epic shots in any film was of Aishan?
Erisham.
That is what it says, but I think he means Erisham.
Who is
Eternal.
what is
India
what is
Celestial.
what is Erisham? No, I'm just
Erisham.
joking. I don't know who Erisham is. Erisham overlooking Earth and the people freaking the fuck out. I so need that post. I think the use of Erisham is beautifully done. Like the first time you see Erisham when Salma Hayek, she's just like on his face.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You're like, what is she talking to?
Yeah.
And then that hand later, when you're just like,
Yeah.
you realize the scope of you.
And then when she's because they build up how much they show of Erisham and his
Yeah.
involvement, and like when he actually, you know, what I thought it really worked. It was scary, but the second time I watched it, I thought of the end of Mortal Kombat. When Shao Kahn shows up, at the when his face appears and grabs them, and it's all going cloudy and dark with this big figure in this.
That was direct inspiration.
It really looked like Mortal Kombat to me at the end, except not as cheesy.
Hell yeah.
And it wasn't cheesy at all in Eternals. But yeah, I thought the scale and the proportions of Erisham, the attention to detail. I love how, like, I didn't notice it until I saw it on IMAX, how he's a little bit, like, rusted at times in his full body
Yeah.
figure, which leaves the impression of, like, battle wounds or scars, or just, like he's not just here doing, you know, godlike
taking care
deity
of
things.
business.
He's getting involved in some fights once in a while, you know. So
That's that Gundam movie we're going to get.
He's in a fight club.
Can't talk
Corey.
about it.
Corey wants Corey wants to know. I totally agree, or says I totally agree with Greg that Eternals would be better as a show.
Thank God someone in here.
I still love the movie. Also, regarding the Eternals and Thanos, how are Eros and Thanos related if the Eternals are synthetic beings? Is Thanos an Eternal? Also, you guys are awesome.
Thanks,
I mean,
Corey.
in the comics, is Thanos not half deviant?
He's half deviant, which is how they're related, which allows Eros to be more handsome. They're like it's more of like a half brother thing, and there's not as direct a correlation between looks in family in that world.
Yeah. They didn't grow up like Gamora and Nebula.
No, different situation. Hopefully that answers the question. But yeah, they're half brothers, and also deviant blood is a different entity, but also the power and stuff does translate.
I see Admiral Arv in the chat wants to know if anybody thought this movie was Shakespearean, which I'm just going to throw out to the chat because that's a fun question. I feel like this movie borders on that, but does it get there? Joe March.
Take it attempts.
I think it lands. It has big
Yep.
like
That's the thesis.
That's the thesis.
Craig and
I think
Coy's
it's
difference of opinion.
This
I
is
think
so
it
fun
attempts. I think it hits.
This is so fun to be in
and
the
that's
middle
okay.
of. I always want you guys to have this dynamic when we do this.
in our movie, we just have to even if we actually
And I'm
think
over
the
here
same
like,
of it.
I can see where you both are coming from, man. It's
Get
cool.
ready for a Spider-Man No Way Home review.
Oh
That's
golly,
gonna be a blast.
Joe March.
I
Thank.
think I'm gonna like it more than you, honestly.
I'm gonna hate
The
it.
tables might turn. We'll see.
John's gonna hate
I'm
it.
gonna come out and be like, guys, this was too
There was no
bloated.
Spider-Man.
It was just telling me everything, showing me nothing.
I
Like,
hear it is the same runtime as Eternals, though.
it's a little longer. I
It's
think.
2 minutes longer.
Yeah.
That 2 minutes could have been dedicated to fleshing out a conversation with the TV
It'll
and
be a
Eternals.
2-minute scene with Thena, you know?
Don't share runtimes. Why
Joe
is it
March,
like
Joe
it has
March.
to go over-
Thank you, Coy, for always speaking your truth, and thank you, Real Rejects, for a positive discussion where people can disagree and not be anuses.
Coy can go fuck himself.
I mean, it's our own fault for
Go
being here.
die, Coy.
Here I
Go
am
kill
making
yourself.
choices.
Welcome to the internet. Have a look around. Flev Doran, my 2 cents about the character Cersei. Cersei is such a down-to-earth, vulnerable
Down to earth?
'Cause she's short.
Oh,
She's a
because they
child.
came down from the Domo.
You know what I'm saying, right? That blew over
She
Coy's
loves
head. I'd be
Earth,
like,
you know?
All this reading in heavily into shit.
Down
that he does.
with
Can't
Earth.
get my down to earth. joke.
Down with Earth. She's such a down-to-earth, vulnerable person. Dane was great in his short time. Sprite was annoying. Get her frustrations, but she's 7,000 years old, so she should be more mature. Kingo, but she's trapped, man. She's in a torturous position. She's in a torturous
you would
position.
just-
No one respects her for 7,000
She's got
years.
FOMO for 7,000
You would just get
years.
worse over time.
Yeah, you just stew in that.
It's
and
just like getting
Kingo,
drunk. You just reveal your true self.
If anything, my issue with Icarus is, you mean to tell me after 7,000 years you haven't developed a personality?
maybe he had one in the first 1,000 years, and then
It
he
wore
got
down.
and then he got jaded before everyone
people give
else.
so much crap to Sprite not being annoying. People give so much. This is such a common consensus. And I'm like, well, why don't you apply this to Icarus and be like, you mean to tell me this whole time this guy's barely learned to fully smile?
On second viewing,
7,000 years, he's got barely a personality.
on second viewing, Sprite's motive, like Sprite's POV, became one of the most clear character threads to me, which is I find this interesting. But and Flev goes on to say, I didn't foresee Icarus not being Superman, but actually being Homelander. Druig reminded me of.
We caught it.
Credence.
We did in that first trailer.
We saw the trailer. I was like,
Bad guy.
I think Icarus is totally a bad guy. Yeah.
People got so mad at us. There were so many comments
They're
like, "He can't be the bad guy."
Why
I'd be
would he
like,
be? And I'm like, the trailer kind of feels like he's a bad guy.
On my worst days, I'm like, I'm gonna screenshot these. Send them back to you.
Druig reminded me of Credence from Fantastic Beasts for some weird reason, and Fastos was great.
That's not a bad correlation.
Not at all, but it sucks that my mind went to, oh, people will go bananas at that one scene.
See, here,
That's so interesting.
I
honestly-
want to see one theater that when the kiss happens, everyone just like starts cheering and like losing their minds, just like going crazy.
I mean, we're all in LA, and I accept that this is a different bubble, and I accept we're in that world. But I am still alarmed whenever it's even a conversation because it's so not a thing here.
well, you know what's funny is I will not say who I spoke with.
Please don't. I don't want to hate them.
I had a very big discussion, a lengthy discussion about this, and I was really debating. It never got heated. So I was really trying to understand of how this person has like a lot of, they have gay friends, they have gay family.
Emma Fife.
Fucking Emma Fife, man.
Love you, Emma. I use that name because I know
Emma
it's not
Fife
you.
and Jen Surger were just
Just fucking
talking so much shit.
Man,
about
those two. I use
No.
that name because we love you.
No,
It's not you.
I was talking with this individual, and this person was saying how they like, I hate when that they make it so overt and they're trying to push it. And I was like, how are they pushing it? I felt like, if anything, it was a real discussion. It didn't become a hate-filled thing. And then it's like, well, you got to understand, it's not normal to see that in a movie. I'm like, but isn't that the point, to kind of help normalize these things? But not. So it's just being this whole conversation about it, where I truthfully don't believe this individual I spoke with after having a lengthy discussion. Like, a lot of people know this about me. I identify as bisexual, and he knows that. He's known me for this person's known me for.
It's a he. We've narrowed it down.
This person's known me for years. This individual, and we've been friends for years, and never had an issue. And has asked stories about it. It was never had an issue with me. Yeah, and has other gay friends and stuff. But for some reason, because I think of this person's age and where they grew up, whenever they see like a gay kiss, it kind of makes them uncomfortable.
It's just so to me, 2021. I can't fathom that. I can't put myself in their shoes anymore. Like, I don't know what that would feel like because I don't understand. I mean, maybe it's because I'm a burner. Maybe it's because I love drugs. Maybe I'm in the culture more. But I can't understand at this point in our society seeing that and being like, that's weird. It's not.
Right. It's not. So that's what I mean. It's like, it's so interesting to know that there are some people who are just straight up bigots and homophobes.
I don't feel bad for those people. I feel bad for whoever this is you're talking
about. Yeah. And I'm looking at the chat. It's not who you think I'm talking about, by the way. Like, there are some people who I'm like, that's not who I'm talking about. But yeah, there are, and I've had this discussion with another person too, where this was the feeling that happens to them, and it becomes this introspective conversation of like, why? Because I would bring up like, well, that's kind of what's been happening with race as well. There's a time where if like you saw an Asian lead, they would have to just. It's like, how cool is it now that we can have a gay person and not make it about like gay struggles or being gay? Like, it's just a thing about them.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't be distracted if it was two women kissing, right? Because you're used to that. You've probably seen it in porn.
You would just be distracted in a different way.
You've probably seen it in pornography. You're probably like, that's fine. But if it's two guys, why does it call attention? So it becomes a conversation. And I'm okay with having this discussion if it actually becomes a discussion and not a to change my opinion. Like, literally tries to become an understanding, and then if the person doesn't, I like that. I like having a difference of opinion if we can talk about it.
I'm also to the point where, like, with the joke we just made about two women, is I think it's a thing about like 80s and 90s kids, is we had like so much pop culture that featured women kissing as a sexualized thing, and not any pop culture about two men kissing. And now it's to the point where even women kissing, even if it's not a hypersexualized thing, it is hypersexual, and then two men is like this aggressively pushed out thing. And I hope that changes with things like this property, with things like Eternals, where it's just people that love each other. It shouldn't be hypersexual or not sexual. And we shouldn't be talking about a very PG sex scene. We shouldn't be talking about a very normal kiss between husbands. So, like, the idea, so that's what I was speaking to, is I don't feel bad for the people that are just outwardly like hate mongers. They can rot in hell. But I do feel bad for people that just don't feel like it's normal. Like, that must feel alienating to be around people that don't understand you. And, like, I hope they figure their shit out.
Because I remember being younger. I think I was, like, 14, and the first time I ever saw in real life two guys kiss was in, like, I was in a car with someone, and I saw two guys kissing in West Hollywood. And I'll admit, like, it was a little jarring. It was jarring to me, because I had never seen two guys kiss
first
before.
Is something, right?
Yeah. But I'm, like, I'm 31 now, so I'm not, like... Not like, what the fuck? And honestly, there was a point, too, when people clapped at it, there's a part of my cynical brain that went off of like, why are we clapping? I'm like, this is so normal.
No one clapped in my theater, and I wonder what direction that is.
I stormed out the first time. No.
It's One Direction.
The first time. I was wondering, like, why are people clapping? And it took me a second to be like, well, okay, this clap is not for me, you know, like, because for me, I'm like,
feel seen.
I'm like, this is normal to me. And I'm not like the shit for thinking it's normal. I was just like, this is just so normal to me.
Yeah, can we get some congratulations in here for Greg?
Yeah, come on. This is for Greg.
I'm
Greg,
not a homophobe.
Not a homophobe.
Greg did it.
Doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Doing the barest minimum.
For this.
Here we are, 2021.
So grateful for
End of the year.
recognition that I accept others.
So woke. So woke.
Corey Ross in the chat. I'm so sorry. I think I did skip upward because there was a Corey before you. What do you think? What do you want to see from Eternals moving forward? Do you think we should see more flashbacks from their time on Earth in a potential sequel? I think with characters who have been around for thousands of years, you could always show some relevant flashback if it helps bolster their character and overall motivation.
My favorite part of flashbacks was after 7,000 years when Icarus sees Cersei at the end. All the flashbacks are just from the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
You mean to tell me there's not one new flashback you could have shot
didn't hang out.
for just a flash,
Nope.
just a little bit of a moment. It's like when they do that. That's a movie cliche, though.
Oh, when you show
Yeah.
your own movie.
When you just like, you mean to tell me there was like nothing else that happened? Only flashbacks from the movie.
They just met.
Happened. Yeah.
They just met.
These
It's new.
are our
When Rocky's
memories.
driving over the death of Apollo Creed, it's only from the first 3
Rocky
movies.
4 is just flashbacks about Rocky
that's
4.
what I mean.
Rocky 4 is my favorite flashbacks on its own flashbacks in cinema. I'm so
Rocky
excited for the
4 is
director's
my
cut.
favorite cinema.
Guys,
But-
November 11th, we should all go.
But I do gotta say,
Director's
I'd
cut?
love to go.
I would love to. It's a Fandango thing.
Let's
right?
do that.
But I do gotta say though, the use of the word "beautiful" made sense to me. Because of when he goes back to the. I like how that flashback ended on the very first time he met her, or at least when he thinks he met her. The
Yeah.
very first time he met her
Mm-hmm.
and said like, it's beautiful, talking about the earth, and the word he learns. That when there's a joke out of it when he says "I am beautiful" in whatever language that is,
Yeah.
like the correlation of like she is Earth.
Yeah, I
you
like
know.
that.
Yeah.
So, even though I don't get misty-eyed or teary-eyed or moved in the way you were, I
No,
suddenly was
bitch like you.
okay, I get this moment, and I get why the flashbacks end on that specific
That's fair.
point
Yeah.
of like she is Earth, she is beauty, and she's fighting for this. So yeah,
Welcome
I liked
to
it.
Earth.
Do we have some super chats?
Oh, we got hella
we got-
super
we got
chat.
brand
here we go. Let's power up, guys.
All right, let us power
All
up.
this money's going to
Do you want to
Koi.
sip this first, Colin?
Oh, sure. Here, let me find out
Waterfall.
where we are first because
All right.
it's been a minute. It's
been a
been a
minute.
minute.
Let's
since
put out
we-
a new poll.
Okay, October.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Let's see what the poll's at.
All right.
What's a new question to put out?
ending, So we've
I'm
ended
gonna
out.
hit my vape. Are you guys okay with that? I'm
Yeah.
always self-conscious about hitting
Dude,
my vape.
live your life.
Don't worry about it.
What's self-conscious about it?
I don't know.
Is there crack in there? Just weed.
What's the problem? There's no weed in here.
What's your problem? All right, we're ending this poll. 43% of everyone loved it. 37% liked it. 16% thought it was a meh, and 4%.
Are you guys
hated
gonna
it.
react to the No Way Home poster?
No way. Yes.
Is there a No Way Home
way.
poster out?
Is there a new
Is
one?
there a new one?
All right. What's the new poll, G? What's the new poll? Favorite character.
Ooh, I like that. Druid.
I gotta put in 10 options though.
You do. Type them up.
I feel like Spider-Man No Way Home would be fucking booming on Twitter right now if there was a new poster.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Maybe it happened. Also, if you smoke crack, I got no judgment. Just in case there's any crackheads in the audience, no judgment.
on the
Live your life.
crackheads. Hey, somebody outside the 7-Eleven just around the corner from here the other day asked me if I smoked crystal.
It's the hair.
Yeah.
But hey, live your life.
Probably. I don't though.
I
new
watch
poll.
all of y'all's videos high.
His name's Hallucination.
Thank you.
Respect, man.
So, new poll. Did you have a poll?
A question in mind?
Yeah.
A question in mind. Did you guys hit the like button? Yes or no?
Shameless inside real rejects question.
Yes. We'll change it soon. Okay, let's get to the questions though, yeah? No comment, yeah.
Alrighty. Where did we?
I'm on 3 milligrams. I'm on. Oh, thank
Bye,
you, John.
us.
I'm on
Hi,
3
us.
milligrams. That tells us we have been streaming for an hour and a half, I think.
Don't leave a dislike if you love this show. Commander Keen, I see you. None of that.
Dislikes are engagement, but likes are the best kind of engagement. They help.
Some people get surprised when I say the whole thing about how I identify as bisexual. When I'm like, I did a video about this like in the very early years of the channel.
Is it weird that I assume everyone identifies as bisexual, or is that just my community?
There are guys I meet who are like, yeah, I watch like a lot of DP porn, and I haven't actually watched like porn in a long time.
Good for you.
And there's a lot of guys I meet who are like, yeah, I'll watch like, like multiple guys. But I'm like, but no, I would never do stuff with a guy.
It's
I'm
so
like, and I'm like,
interesting, our
I get
context.
it. Like, I get you wouldn't do stuff with a guy, but I'm like, but you can get into like so like, isn't that a form of bisexuality?
Yeah, I mean,
to a certain
sexuality is a
extent?
spectrum, right?
Yeah.
So that would be
Yeah,
on that spectrum. I think that's fair.
Isn't it? I feel like it would be.
Yeah, I've got a whole bit in my stand-up about wanting to be bisexual because it's like another Twix bar. Fucking eat one, and then you got so much more.
Thanks.
You got a whole nother bar. I'm just jealous.
All right, here we go. John's
Okay,
pulling
I
it
think
up.
We're back in action here, so let's do this. Let's bring back the display, and we are gonna move on to.
Let's give a round of applause for John. He's holding
Hey,
down the fort.
running
Doing
the
what I can.
things.
I'm
He's
doing what I can.
moderating. He's leading.
Running the
I'm
business.
Riding
doing it,
that-
John. You're doing it, man. You're
Writing
doing it.
inspiration from Double Toasted Live.
Coy and I both had I had more of an apprehensive approach today. Not apprehensive, more of a cautionary approach.
You answered the door in like full armor, gauntlets. Like a
Are we
beekeeper
gonna
helmet,
do
like,
this?
Yeah,
Don't let me see the comments.
And John's just making sure I don't read the live chat. He's a smart
Yes.
man.
but I've been really.
I did have to pull. There's another monitor over there, and I had
Both
to pull.
both Coy and I will be
had to
triggered
pull the
by
chat.
just the one wrong comment.
Yeah,
You guys
we'll
are
stay
getting
in that
love.
space. I'll read one thing and just be like,
The nice thing about this whole thing is that there's a few people in the chat for each of us.
That's good.
So,
That's
my
nice.
comic planet. My fave was Makari, from the badass action scenes with her fighting Icarus with her speed to the more subtle moments like when she showed her love for Druig with her infectious smile. Loved the chemistry they had. I absolutely agree. Like,
They have
and-
great chemistry, way more than Icarus and Cersei.
yeah.
I agree. And that was apparently all Barry Keoghan and her like actually vibing on set.
He was like, I really want to do you. every
I am
moment.
so in character.
Beautiful Makari.
I mean, he's honoring the homeland, man.
I appreciate the super chat, my con. Thank you guys. Thank you to everyone who's contributed to this Streamlabs and super
Means a
chats. It
lot.
really means a lot. We do not take that for granted. We don't live stream a lot, so whenever they do come in, like we really don't take them for granted. And thank you. I know this is your hard-earned dollars, and so I appreciate the support very much. So, and usually our live streams have weird playback, and they're often not monetized due to the shit we say. So the fact that you guys
Apparently boning is a problem.
The fact that you guys do show here, I'm like, okay, cool, thank you.
I expect all of this, so just keep it up.
Yeah.
Crashing Coyote, super genius. Who wins? Icarus versus Omni-Man versus Homelander.
Oh, I think Koi's the man to answer this one. I would vote Omni-Man.
Okay,
I would vote
so
Homelander.
I see Homelander as being the most deranged in a negative way, where I think his hostility
What?
towards man would cause
role
him to be
model.
overzealous.
Okay.
I think Homelander would believe his confidence to a level that would cause problem, whereas I believe Icarus, and he deep down somewhere has some bit of seeing himself as a hero that I think Omni-Man lost. So I think between the three, I'm going to go Omni-Man.
I'm gonna say Omni-Man.
Because Omni-Man doesn't perceive himself as a hero. He sees himself as a member of a species that conquers. So he sees himself as a conqueror. And then you've got Omni-Man. Then you've got Icarus, who deep down somewhere is a hero. And then you've got Homelander, who I think his arrogance will be the end of him. So I'm going to go Omni-Man out of the three.
I mean, I would eliminate Icarus right away because he doesn't have super speed.
Oh, that's a very good point. But he can fly.
So
they
can
they all
Homelander
fly.
and
But,
Omni-Man.
but there's no speed
They
in
got
his flight,
laser
we really
eyes.
know.
Who?
But in Icarus, like, he can fly fast.
Yeah, but there's
He
a
can't
reason.
fly
There's
at
a reason
Omni-Man
he couldn't. There's a reason he could
Couldn't
not
take out
take
Makari. Yeah, that's fair.
Where Omni-Man could definitely put up a fight. And
That's
I think,
fair.
and I think Omni-Man just has way more of a history with like destroying planets and shit.
Yeah, he's the Super Saiyan Vegeta of the
Yeah,
three.
No, he would. I think he would
I'm gonna-
totally.
yeah,
I
Omni-Man.
think between the three of them, he would totally eliminate them all.
Dustin Yoder in the live chat says, we all look tasty. So thank you, Dustin. Pandemic Jones back in the supers. I have more to say. LOL. I think Eternals will be appreciated more when we get deeper in the multiverse saga and we see how many doors it has opened. I'm very curious about what the retroactives will be for this movie.
I mean, absolutely. I don't think there's any discounting that. Despite even if you're someone who feels more like me or more like Koi, I think that the fact is this is the start of this is the introduction. Let me take two.
The precipice.
This is the whole thing about how the world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe came to be. This is literally Genesis. At the very top, it's Genesis right there. It's their own Bible that they are creating here to explain how this world and universe came to be, that it's not just a riff on our Earth. Even though Elon Musk exists in it, it's not just a riff on our world, our Earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So introducing all that, the Celestials have been in, like, Ego's there, the planet Nowhere. There's a lot of about Celestial history that has sort of been spread
And
throughout.
that's Celestials and Guardians 1.
My concern though is, I almost said concern. My concern is, are they going to start acknowledging the Disney Plus shows? Because the effects of Loki, I feel like,
Tied directly
just
into
haven't been really.
Well, if you think about the
and I see y'all in
timeline-
the live chat because the live chat has been asking, like, where do the Celestials figure in Kang's perfect timeline?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like there's so much happening, and I remember like Avengers Endgame, that sets up our shows of the 3 live action shows we've gotten so far, and it's even sets up Hawkeye. But the 3 live action shows we've gotten up, they had the movies acknowledge it. The movies set up the shows, but the It doesn't seem like they're really acknowledging the shows, so I feel like Doctor Strange will be the
I
first
think
one that really
Multiverse
does
of
it.
Madness is the beginning.
Yeah, that has to be the first official one to actually do it, because I'm like, how are you introducing the beginning of this world? Celestials. The whole purpose of Earth was just to give birth to a celestial. And then we got time variance of Thor. I'm like, are they doing a little too much right now to keep up with crazy world building? Because like a lot of this kind of intersect, because they're going very extreme right now.
Yeah.
With the thought process, the intellect, the headiness.
As a Clone Saga fan, I'd rather have them shoot for an insane 3 home run than 1. So I hope they land it with.
But these
with
are all
Doctor Strange
all
2.
interconnected.
Totally.
Yeah.
But
One
I'm
thing-
saying I'd rather go big than go small. So I'm hoping Doctor Strange 2 can do that.
One thing
Gotcha.
that sort of revealed itself to me is I feel like the Spider-Man Far From Home tease and all that gets you set up for this thing where it's like everything is going to be cause and effect from here on out, and everything is going to be like the next progression from this. Whereas seeing a lot of what they've been putting out into Phase 4 thus far leading up to Multiverse of Madness, it almost feels like a lot of these things are sort of disparate, either simultaneous or sort of tandem moments that will eventually be acknowledged when the actual Multiversal Madness breaks out or something. But Ibrahim Khan,
Like Phase 1.
I told you we'd get there. The genius of this movie, in my opinion, was Chloe Zhao's ability to put such complex themes of morality and the gray areas. I agree with Koi. Top tier Marvel.
I want to have a dissertation on morality, mortality, and theology more often. I like these conversations. You can't have those with a lot of movies, Marvel or not. You just can't have these in-depth conversations about what it means to be alive. And at the end of the day, I think that humans are good as individuals, but bad as a large. I like persons, and I'm scared of people. And
I go to
think this
movies
movie
to
addresses
forget
that.
being alive, Koi.
You know what? A lot of people do. But at the end of the day, I worry about persons and I love people, and I think this movie addresses that in a really beautiful way.
Well, yeah, I mean, it deals with the theme of, especially when Cersei's presented with the choice of what to do, it deals with the theme of, do we honor purpose or do we sacrifice purpose for love?
And that's what life's about.
Yeah,
I think.
I've given up all my dreams for love.
I think, but I think at the end of the day, there's
Clearly.
that question. A lot of people I know that have been actors and they found someone they loved, and they loved the person more than they loved that dream, and there is that
Yeah.
moment. So and I think it's a hard thing to address in something like a superhero film.
Really quick in the live chat, 63% of you said you voted. You upvoted
But
22% are just saying.
14% no.
Now I love the no comment people because I know some of you did and some of you didn't.
That's an
so,
amazing poll.
Yeah, this is
All
good.
right.
This
in
is
9
going
minutes,
well.
500 votes.
All right, I'm Torch is next. Do you think that Icarus will come back because he is the main character in the comic book Eternal series? Also, he's my favorite character.
They don't show him die.
I mean, he flies into the sun.
So
They don't show him die.
they don't show him die.
I don't know.
They don't show him incinerate.
They
He
could
could come
next
back.
next episode, next movie, and
He
be
might have
like,
just
he charged up on sun
right through
juice.
the sun.
Flown right past
through.
it.
Right into it. I mean,
It's just it's like when you do one of those stab gags and you just
Yeah,
put it
well,
behind yourself.
it's
yeah.
the Scream ending. Just
Yeah.
get the sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spoiler
That's
for
what Icarus
Scream.
did. He did that for us because he knew we were watching.
We wanted it. I love him
Yeah.
too, but I think the way they handled him was beautiful.
Icarus flew too close to the sun.
Such a genius way to use that metaphor.
Either Kyle Dube or Kile Dube. I did appreciate that for sure, and I like that him doing that almost makes me go, were you trying to validate Sprite's legend
His
that she
weird
created
story.
about you?
Yeah, it felt like that,
You're
which I
lending
kind of
some
like too.
credibility to that. Kile Dube would love to know each of y'all's top 3 Eternals. Me personally, I'd say Makari, Fastos, and Druig.
I would definitely say, yeah. I mean, I would say Makar. Okay, my personal favorites is I really like Sprite and Kingo a lot. There's a technicality side of why, but for the ones I just enjoyed watching the most, it would definitely be Makari, Fastos, and Kingo.
Druig, Thena, Makari.
Okay, just
you can
just
reuse.
3 of Richard Madden.
Icarus,
Yeah,
Icarus.
it would be like Druig, Makari, and then I would have to grapple between like Kingo or Gilgamesh or somebody for the third one. The third spot is hard for me to pick, but Druig and Makari are definitely my 2 faves.
10 great cast members.
Absolutely, and despite whatever in the scripting, despite whatever I agree with about with Greg or with Koi on about the scripting, I feel like across the board, I thought the cast really showed up. Even Richard Madden, I thought he showed up, regardless of what they gave him to work with.
Don't blink.
Yes. DC, Big Oso, yeah! Was I the
You
only
okay, Coy?
one?
You crashing?
No, I was just trying not to blink.
Coy, you should have stopped at Duncan, all right? Was I the only one getting All-Star
close?
Superman vibes? What? How was Duncan
Because
close?
it was a Hollywood Boulevard marathon. That's why it took so long to get here. That was literally a marathon on the street.
That's, like, right
and,
at your
yeah,
house.
it was
Yeah,
a
okay.
struggle. I
That's
literally
fair.
sat in my car for 2 hours to leave.
Thank you. Yeah. Was I the only one getting All-Star Superman vibes from the third act with Icarus?
Yes.
Take
it away, Coy.
So I was waiting for you
You're the
guys.
first person to point that out.
You know,
In
right away you
America,
knew, man.
in the
All-Star
world.
Superman is this great commentary on like what we've become as a nation, and it's obviously inspired Omni-Man and a lot of the other characters we've introduced. But I do believe that is the basis for a lot of these characters that people feel like Icarus is based off of. And All-Star Superman is a fantastic run. Everyone check out from Grant Morrison. So yes, I got that vibe. Yes, I appreciate you noticing.
Hells yeah. Litfuse_GD. Get ready, Coy, because this is for Coy going off. Go off, Coy.
Well, he's already done it, and I think he's calmed down a little
Couple
bit.
times.
Coy's going to go off again. Don't worry.
I had more of the Children of Loki, and they've
yeah,
settled
let me
it.
try
Yeah,
I can
that.
feel Coy's energy. Like he's a little more subdued now.
guys, I got the anger out. Pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Oh, it's a little different.
He sat here for 2 hours. Now he's been sitting here for almost 2 hours.
I
he
just- I
sat
got-
on the road for 2 hours to come here, and now sit here for another 2 hours.
I got my hyphy out,
And then
and I got
another
up at
2
6
hours
a.m.
back, and then a 2-hour nap,
Living
and then
the
a
dream.
2 hour.
Living
All
the
right.
dream, you guys.
Aaron James. I liked it a lot, but it was very long. Had one too many characters and not enough action. We'll watch it again on Disney Plus.
See, that's the other side. Some people want more actions. That's why there was the long scenes that we said we would have cut. So it's different structure from folks. So
And I
I
think
respect.
it's just really the placement of the action. Sometimes it could, especially when you. The thing is, when you think about pacing and tone, if you, okay,
I don't.
if you,
Ever.
or pacing, tone, and structure, despite your guys' sarcasm,
Those things
Trying
are
to be
important.
focused.
Yes.
there's a big difference for me between John Wick 1 and John Wick 2, and that's because a big part in setting the stage, John Wick 1 does not have action until breaking into Act 2 when they
Agreed.
come to his house. So you're setting the tone and the mood and the stage, so you're not having this expectation of a lot of action or whatever. So when you get your first action scene, it's very rewarding and impactful. And I think where this movie kind of goes wrong with that regard of what sets people up to want more action is the fact that it starts off with a big action scene
I see what
right
you're
at the
saying.
top.
Yeah.
And I think that's why that expectation is set, so you kind of feel like you need a little bit more action from time, like at least like one, because I think it's around after the forest fight, it's like a lot of no action for a while, you know. It's just a lot of just talking, which I don't mind personally, but I think action creates a certain type of stimuli, and then you're not getting that stimuli because now it's just like settle and watch.
And
Yeah.
expectations of MCU definitely come into that.
Yeah, 1,000%. So like, I don't begrudge people when they feel that way of wanting more action, and I think a part of that comes from MCU standards and or expectation, and also the fact that this movie starts off with a big action scene.
Yeah, and I think the
Yeah.
first act action scene is become a tradition in the MCU that the movie isn't the traditional MCU film.
Yeah.
Commander Keen in the chat wants to know if this is as good a film as Martyrs. They're very similar, and you should watch them back to back. John Magoon. To hear Makari scream in her real voice when Icarus tried to kill Druig was so visceral it made me cry. You know what? I absolutely love that, especially to have a deaf actress, vocalize or whatever. And I love that across the board. And I saw a brief little clip of an interview with Brian Tyree Henry where he was like, okay, they gave me the role. I was like, all right, sweet. You want me to work out? How much weight do you want me to lose? And they were like, no, we want you as you are.
They said gain weight and get blacker.
Gain weight and get can you be a darker skinned person?
Paperboy.
But I really loved that about them, where I was like, yeah, they assembled this multicultural cast from all over the world, or at least with roots from all over the world, and let them just bring their accents and bring themselves, and I thought that was really wonderful.
Also, and this is, again, going to piss off the right people, I really enjoyed the fact that it didn't feel like they plucked people to be the stereotypes of the nationality that American audiences see them as. We didn't have the cliches in any of these races, but we did have different races represented, while also like people complaining it's so woke. We have 4 of the 11 leads are fucking white, the whitest of whites, an Irishman, a Scot, a Brit, and a fucking Angelina Jolie. So like out of that we have other races represented, but people still complaining that it's woke. But at the end of the day, if your 10 closest friends are all of the same town as you probably don't know a lot of shit. Like, if everyone's from your same hometown, you probably just know how good the Wendy's fucking fries are. So I really like that at the end of the day, 10 different cultures is how an alien race would have people interpret the world. You wouldn't have someone from the same nation represented 10 times. You wouldn't have someone of the same religion or sexuality, because that wouldn't blend into the world. And this is a movie that feels like it's made for the world, not feel like it's made for America. If you want to watch a movie that feels like it's made for America, watch like 70s fucking action movies with all the whites. There's so much to this and so much advancement of it that I hope this is what Phase 4, 5, and beyond are, because I don't want to just see the Avengers be 6 white dudes again.
Yeah,
They should
so to
always
hear
be right.
Makari scream in a real voice when Icarus tried to kill Druig.
That was what I was talking
was
about.
so visceral.
He mentioned Fastos. He mentioned him getting to be his own body weight and be... You know what?
You
know what, Greg?
Coy, this is
Fine.
why I bring you here to do that. Don't
Dark
fuck-
Jedi Knight says, "Preach,
I
Coy."
just break the tension with a joke, man. That's what the rule of thumb is.
Also, if you have 10 friends and one of them is gay, you're statistically just hiding 2 other friends. I'm just saying, like, poor Mike hasn't come out yet, but he will. Mike will come out, and he's going to tell you in an inopportune moment.
And so will Karen. William
Fucking Karen.
Jones. I absolutely love Coy saying what many of us want to say but can't articulate. Hashtag Coy rant. You do have a way articulating and pulling those words together, and you perhaps more than anyone I've ever met can pull out like articulate arguments in like a really madcap, like, oh my god, I am so tense watching you form this sentence, but here it comes and it's got like 12 syllable words in it. Damn.
That's my secret, Cap. I'm always fucking angry. So all of that bottled rage just comes out at cunts. And you guys aren't all cunts, but the ones that are upset receive the rage because they know it's at them.
Boom.
That's why I appreciate the super chats, guys.
Absolutely.
Because we can't monetize that
Coy
word.
keeps getting
The Doomer says,
Anytime
imagine.
YouTube's like, maybe. Okay, never mind. No, we're not going to let
It's
this
been
be
20
great.
minutes.
I guarantee you.
Murderanta says Eternals set the bar for speedster scenes in superhero movies going forward, and the Doomer wants to imagine Paperboy from Atlanta as Fastos, and I just
Nice.
flashed to the episode of him lost in the woods, and yeah, it's good. I want it. Max,
all about that Paperboy.
Matrixster.
No, Catherine Dawson Foy.
Catherine Dawson Foy, good catch. G didn't like Druig, left Makari for thousands of years, and then when they all were back together, they were lovey-dovey.
Okay, that's my question about Druig. This is a question. Before I turn it into a criticism, I want to ask. See, you can do that, guys. You can go.
Can you?
Let me go with an open
Can you?
mind first. Druig, he turns the people. What was that part of history again? I forget specifically.
Are they in Babylon?
Was it Babylon?
Babylon is when he first started. Oh, the masses
When
was
he
Babylon.
when he goes
Yes,
down the
yes,
steps.
yeah.
and
That was Babylon.
which is a beautiful shot.
So, the last 7,000 years, he's only been there. And
No,
that's what
he's
he
had
says.
other
He's been in
cults.
the woods.
He says like this is where we first met. This is where I last saw you guys when the Eternals show up. So when he said that, I was like, oh, has he only been helping out these people
As
this
much
entire
as,
time?
As much as I don't think it's good practice necessarily to look at a movie and go, you can fill in the blank. When the blank is like thousands of years, I just assume like, oh, maybe he left, went elsewhere, came back here. Maybe this is just home base for him.
Well, he knew
like,
Kingo was a movie star, so he's got to have some type of
Yeah,
internet
they've been
access.
outside of here before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess I have the same response of like, I assume he left and came back, like that was his hub, but like you don't stay somewhere 7,000 years.
Fair enough.
He loves the woods. He's just
Loves
that
the
much of a
woods.
homebody. Matrix Stark just gives a flat 100. I appreciate the support. We are keeping it 100. Brendan Christiniak. Hope I'm saying that right. My only problem was Crow near the end. I forgot about him and was like, oh yeah. Then followed by, oh, now he's dead, I guess. He was real underused, I feel.
Yeah, for some reason the first time I watched Crow in the movie when he first turns human,
Yeah.
kind of like felt like almost an Ultron James Spader moment
Yeah.
at that time. I was like, oh, what? No, they're doing stuff with them, and I was so like kind of impressed that they were doing that.
Maybe there's a reason
Yeah.
they cast Bill Skarsgård, who I didn't know was in this at all.
So I liked it more quite a bit the first time I watched it, but the second time around, I really did feel like it becomes really underused, which I know we've already kind of touched on.
It's
but yeah.
it's the start of a good idea that doesn't get to be explored.
And
very
honestly,
much.
on IMAX, the effects of the Deviants stand out way. Like, they didn't bother me the first time I watched it, but on IMAX, because of that crystal clear IMAX quality, I was like, oh, the effects really stand out.
I think it's because it was shot on film, and most Marvel movies are shot digitally.
But
so,
they use
like,
IMAX cameras.
That's
Sure.
lovely,
Yeah.
though.
But I think the
glad they shot
depth
on
of the
film.
other scenes, the texture of film,
True.
is going to look different when you add a digital on top of the film stock.
Especially because they shoot a lot on actual location.
Yeah,
It's
as opposed to green screen, which is digital.
Yeah, so you have a lot more manipulation and shadowing.
It's like in the
and
90s when you
keying,
used to see the black line around things. Like most of these Marvel films aren't shot like actually blank.
But then they had to compensate for, like, let's darken the shit out of the forest fight.
Yeah.
Because and honestly, on like the first time we watched Eternals, I couldn't tell what was going on in that forest fight. But the second time on IMAX, I was like, okay, it's a little brighter.
But we addressed the crow thing, and I think
Yeah.
it's going to be the interpretation of the viewer. I got a lot out of it that Greg didn't even have that experience of, but I think it's all choose your own goosebumps.
Guys, we fall behind on our
don't
super
worry,
chats.
Dark Jedi Knight. You're ahead of.
We tend to give
coming up.
We try to
Rosh
give our,
Torres, we watched the fuck out of Ted Lasso. It's exemplary.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I think it's
great.
best show on TV.
I haven't seen an episode. All right, Green Lantern here.
I don't want to play $4.99. No, yeah, Green Lantern and Brightest Day and Darkest Night. Hey, Coy, especially, but Greg and John as well. What was your take on the Celestials?
Hey, Coy, especially.
Hey, Coy, I
Sick.
guess Greg and John
While they're here.
as well. What was your take on the Celestials and their overall presence in the film?
I feel like we touched on this, but Coy, I'm sure you're the especially.
I mean, I was called out. I feel like I need to. I enjoyed the fact that I read these characters as a kid. One of my first introductions to this concept of character was in the Amalgam universe when we first meet the Living Tribunal, and it's this overwhelming deity in space that just controls so much of reality. I didn't think I would feel that in a movie. I thought it was one of those things that would live better in the comic books because your imagination takes control. I loved that I was watching a film and I was able to go like, oh fuck, about a character that I didn't think would translate. So I enjoyed the Celestials. I want to see more of that. I think Guardians 3 and Forward are going to have a lot more cosmic stuff. And I generally, which is ironic considering how I live my life, I enjoy really heady stuff, and I enjoy in life as Coy, I enjoy jug culture and reading and existential crises and thinking about the world. In my comics, I don't enjoy the cosmic stuff as much as I enjoy the underdog stuff. Like, I like Spider-Man and X-Men to stay on Earth, but then in life, I'm like, what if I'm a cosmonaut? So it's interesting now that these worlds are blending, because these are characters that I read that I was like, but now that they're in movies, I'm like,
Yeah.
and it's this weird zeitgeist shift for me, kind of like watching The Matrix.
And it's I do appreciate the effectiveness of it, because a lot of the time the scale does not quite read in like a Pacific Rim manner.
Yes.
Yeah, or like Guillermo del Toro's Pacific Rim specifically, or I would even say the first Godzilla, the Gareth. What was his name? Evans?
Edwards.
Edwards.
Gareth Edwards.
Okay, I constantly get that confused.
Schmodown.
Gareth Edwards, his version that captured the scale of Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
This one I thought really does that, and for it to be this deep into the films where you get a lot of like crazy shit, and like even
sound design where it was like, whoa.
yeah. So I think it's really cool that to this day they can even at this point they can have that level of effectiveness with a big CGI monster or wherever, like shitty word you want to apply to it, but like big CGI creature. Yeah.
One of the things
Absolutely
I
want more Celestials. Absolutely, I'll keep it quick. Absolutely want to see more of the Celestials, and I love anything that's like huge and scopic like that. And I love that the pitch of this, or at least one thing you could draw. I don't know if this was actually what she said, but that whole thing of like, let's do Prometheus from the engineer's POV, and I thought the Celestials added nicely to that whole thing.
Absolutely.
To me, one of the things I liked most about the film was feeling small. I liked that as a human being, I felt like I was an ant, and I think the Celestials made that a very, very appropriately visual thing.
Stephanie M. Jandro
I know her!
in the live chat is glad we're still live because she's at work and it got so busy at AMC with
Stephanie,
Eternals.
stop
Hi,
sending
Mom.
me photos.
Yeah,
know what,
dude.
Mom?
Stop it, Stephanie.
I've said
And
how
it's funny
weird-
you should say that because Commander Keen wants to know if Thanos is naked in this movie, and a few people have chimed in that he was naked as hell with 2 nutsacks.
Well, there's that
so.
scene where Ant-Man does the thing that a lot of people theorize would end Endgame, but he does it as a kinky choice. Like he was like half-staffed.
Yeah, it's like you
And
think
he's
he's going to take him out, but then
he's like,
Thanos
"No,
is
he's
clear
just
it's all
vibing.
about it.
He's
Yeah,
just
he
vibing
asked
with
for
it.
this.
Yeah, he's like
yeah,
half-staffed.
It's
And
crazy.
this was a smile on my face.
I am
inevitable. Corey Ross.
Now you got demonetized.
Corey Ross in the Super Chat. Thanks for everybody, too, who answered our poll about the likes. I hope you've left a like since then, and check out the new poll if you want to see.
But Tony, Tony Odajimi in the chat did say something that I do want to point out, that there's an art that I think Christopher Nolan in particular has mastered. If you watch this on IMAX, you'll see the aspect ratio change. And Nolan is easily the one who has mastered knowing, like, I think he maps that out in his, like, beforehand of for the editing.
This scene.
Yeah, and especially within the same scene. I don't feel Chloe Zhao had a great handle on it, and she did point out that it was kind of jarring. And the way the aspect ratio kept changing, and I imagine if you watch this on a real IMAX, like we watch on kind of a shittier IMAX, but on a real IMAX, like a universal one, where it's like you walk in and the screen feels like you're looking upon a celestial, like those kind of screens, where the aspect ratio you'll see it's like, oh, the film's here, then it's here, then it's here, then it's here, and it happens a lot in the same scene where it's like. Bam.
It's the difference
becomes,
between you're flipping from like one story to 3 stories, whereas in the screen we saw it and it's like you got a couple little letterbox lines.
Yeah, so it's not
and then
super
you don't
jarring,
have a little letterbox line.
but on a real IMAX it would be jarring, and I think it was interesting that some moments she chose to shoot with IMAX, and I'm like, why'd you choose to shoot this scene with IMAX?
This backdrop is just so nice. We gotta accentuate that production
This is
design.
like they're not even. It's just a simple talking moment. Yeah,
They're at a cafe.
Erica in the chat says more koi, guys,
Yes.
which I always love to hear.
Erica. I'm
And
here.
let's go over here. Corey Ross.
Okay. Chloe was able to tell us the turn in the opening shot and made homage to the most important sci-fi films of all time: The Matrix, Star Trek III, Beyond, 2001: A Space Odyssey, through the lens of the MCU. Of course, this was going to be divisive. Wait, you're saying because of that it would be divisive? Why would that make it divisive? Just an homage shot to the most.
I think he's saying those kind of films are not in the usual pantheon of MCU. So accomplishing that, I think.
Was 2001: Space Odyssey considered divisive when it first came out?
Putting Space Odyssey in the MCU pantheon. I'm saying like incorporating that kind of filmography into the MCU. I think that's what he's saying, is like trying that kind of filmmaking in this world.
Oh, okay, yeah, I gotcha.
I think.
I don't feel like it goes that hard though in terms
It goes
of
pretty hard for being different from the MCU.
for being different, but I'm saying in terms of going hard into like the Stanley
space,
Kubrick
yeah.
Space Odyssey.
It's certainly
I'd
not
say
like.
Dune definitely goes more Kubrick.
But I'd
than-
say
yeah.
this is closer to
Yes.
Dune than Iron Man.
Sure.
So therefore,
Yeah,
it's,
I would say that,
it's
yeah.
more in that direction.
Yeah, I'd say that.
I'd say
Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
a 7 out of 10 on the Dune
It's,
scale. and
it's
a
one
2
of the
out
more
of 10 on Iron Man.
tangible MCU movies.
What John and I really quick, I mean that's what John and I talked about on when we talked about the Rotten Tomatoes score, that we don't think the comparison to Thor: The Dark World is fair, just because you're looking at a number. When I'm like, I wouldn't even compare this to Thor: The Dark World. They're two vastly different films. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't compare this. So to say like it's worse than Thor: The Dark World, like A, that's subjective. B, objectively speaking, they're very different, and I don't think they should be. I don't think those are the one-to-one comparisons you want to make. JB Bonifacio, an Australian podcast, just interviewed Salma Hayek, who says that she had signed up for multiple film deals and was surprised that they killed her off in the first 20 minutes of the movie. Could this mean that Eternals 2 is poised to be about Eros leading them to the World Forge since she's coming back? Oh, fascinating.
Could be.
Why would she reveal that?
One, I will say that Selma Hayek might not be as used to the Feige secrecy as other. Like, I know when new big movie stars come on, they're so used to being like, and here's the ending to my movie. Like, and then they're like, oh no, this is the new world of internet. I do feel like Selma Hayek is like a movie star from the era right before the MCU that
She
might
could
not
still be used for flashbacks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What my point was going to be is that you have to, when you sign on the MCU, to sign on for like 5 movies. Like, I think that's part of the conversation. It's not the 9 film deals that it was in phase 1, but I do think there's at least the option to renew your contract. correct. So as exciting as this is, it doesn't say what I think at another studio it would say, and I would love to see more Eternals with her, but I don't think that's as finite as we would hope considering the box office and the, not the box office, the Rotten Tomatoes.
Thank you, JB. Isaac Meckler. I thought the first third was kind of uninteresting, but the last 2/3 made me really like this movie. Also, I barely learned about Pip and Eros a week ago, so it was cool to see them at the very end. I feel like it is like the big takeaway is Pip and Eros, more so than the fact that we got Blade in there. This is a lot of people
didn't know it's Blade, and I was like, it's so obviously Blade.
Most people aren't going to know it's Blade, and
Mahershala Ali's voice is so unique.
Okay, I think the masses are not going to reckon. I think
Hunger Games.
There were people at the premiere.
Everyone saw Hunger Games.
There were people at the premiere who thought, was that Sam Jackson? I heard that go around a lot. Basically, everyone has a specific ear for black voices.
I was going to say, your voice racist. You don't see color, but you hear it.
But we were very. I would say his voice is more similar to Jeffrey Wright than it is to Sam Jackson.
Again, I'm biased.
But
so clearly.
But the thing is, I feel like most people won't know, and I think a lot of people actually. I love learning that it was Blade. I think a lot of people are disappointed, though. I think there is a big camp that is disappointed that their first introduction to Blade is just some off-screen voice.
It makes it more ominous, ready to die, motherfucker. It's like it's more Blade to be in the shadows. Like Blade, I love what Wesley Snipes did for Blade.
That's a great point.
Like
Blade, that is a great fucking point.
Like Blade is an incredible character in the film.
You completely eliminated any cynicism I had about that. I'm like, shit, you're absolutely right.
They're introducing a new Blade. What better way to introduce Blade than more like he is in the comics, which is a character from the shadows?
Yeah.
You introduce a supernatural element like the Ebony Blade.
True.
You do it through Blade. It's the Ebony Blade with Blade. It's so much more comic-y. I think it's appropriate.
Hells yeah.
My Comic Planet is back up in here.
Part 1 of 2.
It's part 1 of 2. Eric V said, for Icarus, to assume Phastos made his table out of vibranium showed that other vibranium tech might have been aided by Phastos.
Love that.
I mean, I believe that was the implication, was that pretty much all the technology was aided by Phastos. I mean, he came up with the engine and the freaking...
and the plow.
Homeboy gave us the plow.
And also that Phastos may have been the source that provided Howard Stark with vibranium for Cap's shield. Wow. Did you guys catch that? I am now.
I hadn't thought that far, but it absolutely makes sense.
That's a very good point. I had missed that. I've only seen it the once, but I'm going to look for that now. Thank you. Vibranium for the original shield coming from the Eternals gives them that like rooted in the MCU thing that they're looking for.
Because they did not. I think one way to look about it then is because Howard Stark got the vibranium cap shield. They don't really explain how he got the vibranium, but then you do see Phastos work with the bomb. My God, why am I blanking on what was that bomb called?
The atomic bomb.
The atomic bomb. I was like,
our biggest bomb as a species.
The atom bomb. The H bomb.
Why can't I pull this
nuclear
word?
bomb?
The atomic bomb. And that must have been a little bit after the events with Howard Stark and Captain America, right? If you look at the timeline, and that might have made him go, I'm not going to help out with the government anymore.
Right, which I've always loved about Winter Soldier.
Okay,
is
so
that like perspective shift.
But I'm saying that that would line up with the timeline. He probably implements it some way with Howard Stark and vibranium, but didn't help out with.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
What I noticed the second time around was like, wait a minute, Kinko's talking about Thor, so Thor must know about they must know about the Eternals, and like what's their relate the Asgardians with the.
I think they accept that they can't intervene because in the beginning, remember, Odin didn't want them to intervene either, but Thor, being arrogant, did.
Yeah. Okay.
Odin very specifically said, like, no, don't fuck with Midgard. So I think it's accepted that Asgardians and Eternals are both not supposed to fuck with Midgard, but Thor, being arrogant and loving Jane, does.
What if season 2, the Eternals just keep intervening?
That's the whole thing.
Never, ever follow those rules. We
Every
intervened
incident,
on all of it.
Spider-Man crushes Spider-Man. No Spider-Man.
Tony Stark never built that cave with the scraps.
Still in the desert.
William Jones. John, you got to read that super chat, my friend.
That one's for you.
Yes. William Jones. This super chat is for John. # protect John. Protect me. It's up to you.
Protect you.
You are the one
Are
who's
you
who's
safe?
got
Do
to
you feel protected?
I mean, as long as you guys are cool with each other.
You're running this.
The more you guys, get
mellowed
heated,
out.
the more worried I become because, being in the middle ground, at some point I'm going to be called upon to decide
This
I know.
beer is 28 proof.
Sure.
So it's 13 point. No, it's 13.5%. So it's 27 proof. I've mellowed the fuck out because I've had a lot of Children of Loki.
There you go.
I'm
That's
very
good.
chill.
William Jones, I feel very, very loved right now, though. I think this is the first super chat directly directed at me, so that makes my day. John Magoon, I think this movie, with its mixed reviews, will become a cult classic. I loved it.
It's way too big to become a
way too
cult
mainstream.
Yeah.
It's from the biggest franchise, from the biggest studio in the biggest country on earth.
If anything, it would, like, I wouldn't call BVS a cult classic, because I think BVS is a film that has actually grown with a lot more appreciation over time, especially after its Ultimate Edition. And like, I know a lot of people still hate that movie, but a lot of people, I think, have really come around on it. And Zack Snyder's vision, you saw how big Zack Snyder's Justice League was. So, but I wouldn't call that a cult film. And I think this movie stands that, though. I would liken it more to that. Is that, if anything, the appreciation for this is probably just going to get bigger.
I think it'll grow, and I think a beloved audience will be vocal.
Exactly. That's what I would liken it more to, but I wouldn't call it a cult classic.
And on the heels of that, our most recent poll absolutely wants to see an Eternals sequel. 8% of you said nah, and 18% want to see the characters brought back someplace else. Yeah.
That is exactly the opposite of my initial thought. That makes me so happy that people love this movie. That gives me so much hope.
Bring on the Seek. Josh Martin.
Hey, if anything, I was very vocal on Twitter weeks ago of saying, like, I don't get why people think this is going to be so divisive with audiences.
I'm glad you were right.
I was saying I don't think it's going to be that divisive with audiences. I really feel like most people are going to really like this movie. I was very, very apparent about that. But the critic score surprised the shit out of me.
Yeah, and
I'll be honest about that. That was like, whoa, I did not expect that. I thought there'd be a lot more film snobs out there, but that one really surprised me. But the audience, I'm not surprised by that at all. I'm
so happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
Read some Alan Watts. You'll dig it.
Josh Martin. Hey, guys, really enjoy all y'all's content. For me, I really enjoyed this movie. That said, I am with Coy and really don't get the criticism. Is this because it's not a traditional MCU movie?
Fuck it. After 3 hours, I'm just going to say yes. Yes, that's why.
I don't. Yep,
that's why.
Definitely.
Yep, 100%. That's why I feel that way.
No. I think art is subjective, and I get why people don't like it.
No, it's just Coy. Let's face facts. It's just because
it's
not a traditional MCU
Where was
movie.
Robert Downey Jr.?
And I've
been looking for
this a little esoteric crowd of people who really get this movie.
You take every movie you've ever seen and go, what is this movie trying to do, and how successfully is it achieving it? And there you will find
End
the
of thought
answer.
process.
Yes,
David. That's what would annoy me the most in some of the comments of like, Greg just doesn't get, after like an hour-long talk with you.
Where we fucking broke it down. We literally
really deep dive, and I'm like, after a pile, I'm like, fuck it. Sure, why not?
Yeah, that's likewise,
it's that simple. It's that simple.
Someone saying I didn't get it when I was like, here's me spelling out what I received. Like, there's no pleasing people.
David Blown wants to know, do you feel this will be essential given how polarized the reactions are? In effect, Marvel makes the film's events more relevant a la Thor 2.
Dude, fucking Thor 2's events are very important. They're a big part of Endgame.
I think every movie is so essential. And I do think they're going to be leaning on this for the cosmic elements going forward.
The only one that fights for essentialness is the Incredible Hulk. That's the only one.
And Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Every so often you're like, remember Sam Rockwell was here. I want more Sam Rockwell. Like, I think that like when we have Armor Wars, it's just gonna be him with his like tan. Like, remember I was in the universe.
But I really think I think that this film was absolutely essential. I think Feige has really been setting the ground for too in the lead up to this release.
I want more to like this.
This is going to change everything.
Well, it's a fabric of the cinematic universe movie. So yeah, I feel like it's significant regardless.
Yeah.
David Cooley this is a good koi question, I feel like. Does Galactus kill Celestials when eating planets?
What I think is going to happen is when we bring in the Fantastic Four, there's going to be an element of cosmic wonder. There's going to be an element of how powerful are these characters. Of the cosmic wonder of how powerful these characters are in general, and I think Galactus might end up fighting a Celestial to show his strength. So I think that when we're meeting these entities, we're going to have to differentiate our power structures.
I'm gonna blow the smoke in your face while you're talking.
Bring it. I'm gonna get more in. But I do think Galactus is going to have to fight something that is of a celestial scope in order to show everyday audiences who this character is. Because so far, we've only had Galactus as a concept or a fucking space cloud. Neither of those things are really intimidating. So I think the best way to do it is bring him into the MCU through this tete-a-tete with a Celestial, and I love that question.
Seyon Ayomaru. I liked the movie quite a bit. I love the sense of scale with the Celestials. Makes me hyped for Galactus. Heck yeah, man. Galactus is going to be scary AF. Who should play Galactus? Comment in the chat.
Michael Shannon.
Sure.
Really?
I just love him.
That's a great
Think
pick.
about that big, that scope, that intimidating, that gravitas.
I will eat all of you.
Give me
I
that,
will eat him. I will eat him.
give me that Mikey Shannon
Yes.
with the headpiece, just as Michael Shannon. Like, don't even make it a weird shot, just him in that costume.
Go Google Michael Shannon in the movie Grand Theft Parsons, and he is he's the spitting image of Bo Burnham in the Inside special. He's got the beard and the long hair, and I'm like, that's Michael Shannon, but I just see Bo Burnham.
Also, his reading the cheerleaders thing on Funny or Die.
Absolutely.
He's a god.
Ethan Holgate. First thing I saw Barry Keoghan in what? Keown, you sure? All right. First thing I saw Barry Keown in was an Irish show called Love Hate. He was only in one season. He's come a long way since then. He's huge now in Marvel. He's huge now. I mean, I feel like, too, he had that A24 boost where he was in like half their movies for a while.
And Dunkirk.
Yeah. And now he's just,
He's a giant Irish movie star, which makes me happy because in this he got to be actually Irish, which
Very true.
But is he in Belfast?
God, I hope so.
It's like the Avengers Endgame of Irish
Assemble the Irishmen.
stuff. William Joe. Maybe that's why there weren't enough actual Irish people in the Irishman. That's
the
why
struggle.
you hate it.
I mean, you cast De Niro, noted Italian. You put him in the Irishman. What do you want from me? That's like Southie and North End trying to be one town. It's not one town, they're two. You don't go to Southie to get your cannolis. You don't go to the North End to get your beer.
William Jones. I thought Ajak only decided to fight the Emergence
I knew this
after
would
the
come up.
Avengers brought back half the population of the universe. She realized that this planet shouldn't be destroyed.
She still had plenty of time.
I mean,
Even
the blip
after.
happened a little while ago.
Didn't
even
have
still,
to wait
yeah.
till a few days.
Yeah.
And I still think
No
him fighting
thanks.
specifically at Icarus was not a wise choice.
Yeah, she
I feel
should've
like
seen
you
that
would have
coming.
known that Icarus is not the. Can you refresh that
Yes, sir.
too? So all right, we're gonna refresh this and turn off the
Yeah, we should probably do that.
chat because
Turn off the
we've been here for a
supers.
while.
Hour and a half? Two and a
It's
half.
been a couple hours, yeah.
Almost.
Whoa.
We got
Almost
live.
2.5.
We went live at 11:45. So yeah, it's been a little bit of time. But I want to make sure we get all the chats done.
Oh,
all
fair.
your
That's fair.
generosity
Oh,
here.
We appreciate it.
Even maybe get a new poll in. Let's
Ooh.
see.
You
Doing okay, Coy?
I'm just making sure. My mom texted me. I want to see if she's relating to this.
Who
Nope,
is-
she was just saying. She sent me cat photos.
There you go.
The chat wants to know who is stronger between Phil Coulson and Icarus.
Man, Coulson inspired the
going
Avengers.
Going Coulson all the way. All right, guys. Thank you to everyone who has submitted today. We are turning off the super chats for right now officially. So, the thought is what counts. All righty, let's jump back in.
Where are we at?
Let's find out.
We made enough money to pay.
William Jones. All right.
Guys, you don't even know my rate. 5K. Otherwise, I'm
Yeah.
out of here.
So she realized the planet shouldn't be destroyed. William Jones. All right, we're back, and let's do also just a little quick refresher on the Streamlibs.
Can I acknowledge? I'm gonna acknowledge the chat. It's gonna happen. I know De Niro has Irish blood in him too, but he plays Italian mafioso, so it just felt
He is
like sacrilege.
synonymous with New
Maybe
York
they shouldn't have
Italian.
done with that movie. They shouldn't have changed his eye color.
It was so many
It
weird
was
choices
so
that made it.
distracting.
Yeah.
The eye color especially. I was like, this is fucking
Also, the
distracting
scene where
as
they
shit.
do the flashback where he's like 20, but he moves like a 7-year-old man. I was like, this is just painful. Like,
He's
let De
kicking
Niro
the
have,
guy on the street,
yeah,
yeah.
like let De Niro have some integrity. Like, have a body double
Yeah.
for that one scene.
I don't think The Irishman's perfect, but I like it a lot.
I'm glad it has an audience.
Where were you when The Irishman came out? We should have fucking
Ghostly.
broke this shit down.
Ghostly Arranger, we're not ending just yet, but we are ending.
We're going to answer these
submissions.
questions a little bit quick, though, just because we take too much time here.
Charles Harkins. So, Icarus was
Don't have time to read the whole question. Yeah, sure. Next one. All right.
Icarus was my first time being connected to a Marvel character, and the
Aw.
heel turn happened, but I think he and Sprite will team up in the next
Why
one.
will they team up? Sprite's a human now. Sprite got her wish.
Yeah, she's gonna grow up. She's gonna be an adult. She's gonna die. But I do.
I regret it.
I did think the choice, though, with Kingo. I like the choice that Kingo was like, I'm not going to harm any of you due to my beliefs. I'm going to go. I'm out. I think this. But when they go back to Kingo, I thought it was kind of weird how Kingo seemed to have, like, no reaction to the fact that of what they ended up going through with doing.
Yeah, he was like, I guess I was neutral enough to just be here.
Yeah, he was just like so neutral towards the whole thing, and I thought it was a little bit weird that there wasn't even a bit of like a
Acknowledgement
towards the fact that they didn't go through with the way he thought things should have gone down.
Yeah, one of my 3 negatives is it's for me it's the relationship with them two, the Kingo thing, and for me it was I forgot my third because I've had a lot of beer.
But I like that they had their that they ended up having. You see, that's why I don't smoke weed
That's
or
smart.
drink
I had a
anymore
third
on
thing. It's
streams
gone now.
because I get the crash.
2
and it
hours
makes it
in.
hard to focus. Yeah, so I don't do that. So yeah, but no, I think it was great though when Sprite does go with Kingo in the end because they do have that setup on the plane of like I thought we were friends. You can feel the history of tension that they had due to the fact that they went their separate ways.
I agree.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
Ryan Newsom, Gavin Newsom's son.
That's right.
Now that Eternals is out, and there was rumors of X-Men reference from Eternals, do you still think Eternals is responsible for X-Men in the MCU future? That's a very high probability, but I think we're gonna need some multiverse shit, really. And I don't want to go into the leaks.
I do
but I think
feel
it's gonna
like
be Multiverse of Madness.
I do think multiverse is where X-Men come in. I think it's less Eternals than ever, especially with how the movie played out. I do think it would have been an option to plant an X-Gene conversation, but since they really didn't, I do think it's going to be a fully formed X-Gene elsewhere, and I do think Doctor Strange is going to be that answer you're looking for.
Very true. I believe that full-heartedly that the answer for X-Men is going to come in the hands of Doctor Strange.
That movie has to be
I
7 movies.
fully believe it.
Good luck.
Dark Jedi
Jedi
Knight. I honestly don't understand why this movie got a lower score than Thor 2. This movie makes you see how small you are in comparison with the universe. They're very different movies, and they're going to have very different responses. Thor, at least for the most part, still adheres to familiar MCU formula.
Yeah.
Where this doesn't. So you're just likely... And Thor 2 doesn't even have a terrible audience score.
No.
It's got a B+,
which is not fair.
Cinema score and a 75% audience score. So it's still fresh all around with the audiences, despite the kind of talk surrounding that movie. But I think that's a big reason why, is because Thor at least is like, it's got the action and the weird jokes and the fucking familiar structure. And
we like Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman.
Yeah, exactly. So
Kat Dennings is here, and I'm comfortable.
Not the same comparison. They're very, and also too, you also shouldn't compare because one's a sequel, and and this one is a first installment.
And an introduction of 10 characters shouldn't be compared to a sequel of a character that's beloved.
Exactly, 100%.
Thanks to Sean McLaughlin in the chat. My Scottish accent really did inspire all of this. Pretty fly for a Filipino guy. Oh, Pinoy pride in the house.
I enjoyed the thought-provoking Eternals. If this is an Elseworld JL movie, I'll take it. Question: if Thanos is part deviant, why didn't they help the Avengers fight him?
I think they explained it through he has to be full deviance. It has to be a direct directive. It needs to be it needs to cause the conflict, and arguably the conflict from Thanos is the direct reason for the ability for the Celestial to emerge faster. The ability of everyone to come back at once. Remember, half the population came back, and that was the energy surge that allowed the Celestial to be born sooner, which is another of the reasons I felt Samahayek didn't fight sooner, was because it was the immediate spike of the Thanos return, like the snap coming everyone back. I think they thought the Celestial wouldn't be born for another like 5,000 years, but it was the reemergence of half the population. So you'd want that to happen.
Yeah.
So therefore, the Thanos thing was a win for the Celestials.
See, I think Eric Voss, I heard him bring up a theory about how since Eros has one of those celestial little marbles,
little communication beacon thing,
that Thanos probably had some type of connection with the Celestial too, and maybe his actions were a thing going against the Celestials.
Could be.
Yeah.
I'm curious if they address that, because it'd be fun to see like young Thanos and shit.
Yeah.
Chat wants to know
by Harry Styles. Yeah.
Who needs the era Josh Brolin?
Chad wants to know who would win in Gilgamesh versus a Hulk fight, and Giovanni Borreggio loves Koi's energy.
Thanks,
so
Giovanni. I think Gilgamesh would put up a solid fight, and I like your Deadpool icon.
Mara Kagan, maybe? No, Mara, a.k.a. Gone.
There it is.
We'll see it. Literally just got out of the cinema from Eternals. Harry Styles got me laughing so hard, but with the Czech voiceover, I didn't recognize the voice in the second post-credit scene. Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. That's more fair than a lot of people not recognizing him.
I would love to experience a dub version of one of these movies one day.
I saw Avengers Age of Ultron in South Africa, and I saw it in English, but everyone talking about the movie had like 8 different accents. So I was just sitting in the theater, like absorbing energy from it. It was one of the coolest things to just hear excitement in every language.
Oh, cool.
It was awesome.
Shuvo Raman. Controversial. Eternals' best Marvel movie this year. Black Widow was crap, and Shang-Chi was good.
I liked all 3, but this is my favorite of the 3. I thought Shang-Chi was better than Black Widow, but I enjoyed Black Widow.
I would rank them.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi, Eternals, Black Widow.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
But I would put WandaVision above all of them.
I put Loki above all of them.
WandaVision and Loki, I constantly go back and forth. It's like how I am with Terminator 2 and Matrix. I'm like, which one's my favorite? I can't tell.
Guys,
Yeah. So Loki's out there.
clearly What If is the best Marvel show.
obviously.
Obvious. Followed by
but-
Cap and Winter Soldier, then way down here. The other
That
two.
said, the moment with Cap and the shield in the center is one of my favorite moments in MCU history. Like
Fair
the
enough.
actual like police brutality scene is up there for the whole MCU. We don't talk about Falcon Winter Soldier enough.
Dude, we don't. That's absolutely
In
fair.
fairness,
I forgot that exists.
that's in that fucking moment, dude.
I know.
Just saying.
Black Falcon, man. Robbie Brown, what do you guys think will be the Eternals' first appearance in a separate Marvel film series?
Captain Marvel 2.
Multiverse of Madness.
Definitely
I
not
think
Multiverse of
Multiverse of Madness will get one Eternal. I think we'll see an Eternal tied all together.
Oh, there are things that Gemma Chan does that are a little bit reflective of what Doctor Strange has done in the past.
Yeah.
So,
Even Druig, I could see blended in with that world.
God, you
I love
really
Druig.
stand
You and
for
your
that
Irish
fucking
You know what?
people,
show,
all
No
right.
Way Home. It's got Druig in it. We got some X-Men with Druig in it.
Spider-Man, No Way
Guys,
Back to Ireland.
Frankly, I think Druig brings in the X-Men. He's going to be like, hey, I like that guy's accent. Banshee, you come with me. Banshee, first Irish X-Men. It's all canon. That's how it happens.
The chat
Through
does
Ireland.
not think the Eternals will be responsible for introducing X-Men.
I don't think so either, except my Druig rant.
That's good. That's good. And,
Banshee and Siren, noted Irish people through Druig.
but I'm happy that 13% of you accept X-Men Origins as canon. The Doomer, Greg is bi, Coy is crack positive. John, what's your big reveal? I'm a professional dominatrix.
Okay, I'm going to say I'm not crack negative. I'm not crack positive. I just don't judge people for whatever they got going on. There's a big difference. I'm not encouraging crack. I'm saying, like, whatever your fancy is, as long as you're not hurting others, I support you.
Crack isn't whack. Crack is nuanced.
I'm just, if you got a thing, I'm not going to judge it. That's all I think.
And I might be bi, but I'm also extremely homophobic.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, we've heard throughout. Actually, he was talking about himself earlier. He's like, this other guy I was talking to. It was him in the mirror.
with my other side. That's my
very-
bi thing.
I was
going on.
hitting on this guy and he was into me and I was like, "You
Oh.
queer."
Bro, what's up? I don't go that way. You're hitting on me. We're in West Hollywood.
So I'm doing my boy. No,
Doesn't bi mean split personality? I thought that's what
I'm not gonna-
That's what I thought it meant.
I'm not gonna
bipartisan
follow any of
politics
this. Hey guys, flicking real. 9 out of 10 from Jackal Jesse Swift.
Hey, fellow quirky Merc.
See you at Spectacular.
Jesse is
That's
swine
right,
out.
Flicking real. Of
I
course.
will miss it. I'm skipping it. I don't
What?
care. I say hell
It's down
with
the
it.
street.
I recorded an episode on Christian Harloff's show, and he didn't turn the sound on.
That's fair. If you're, I
And,
mean, that's.
I drove
mean,
a very long way.
And yeah, you
I
rewatched a
record
movie.
I rewatched a
me hear
whole 3 hours
Yeah.
of my life
Yeah.
to have a great conversation, an hour and a half, and now I want nothing to do with Harloff. He's a horrible joke. You feel
Jesse
You heard it here
Swift.
first. I'm just sitting here like I'm not gonna say shit.
Shouts out.
I'm
feel
a
so
point
bad about it.
in a moment right now.
I really don't care.
My
So
Toiler spoiler review at the Big Thing drops tomorrow with Christian Harloff, and
it just makes me laugh that he feels so bad about it because I'm like, you don't have to feel that
I
bad.
literally
man.
called.
So
I
just
literally
fuck-
called Greg
I
like,
just-
dude, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
So I just mess with him because it just makes me
It works.
laugh.
It works.
Yeah, I know.
It really does.
I know it gets to him. And
Just feel bad
but I'm
for
like,
everyone.
I just keep doing it because of that. Yeah.
Jesse Swift, shouts out to you. I still feel terrible for not being as supportive a faction mate as I should.
See him in December.
Jesse is
Come to
such
Spectacular.
such a lovely guy.
Maybe
Yes.
we got a busy schedule.
Billy J.
December 4th.
It's hard to schedule anything that's not in this room. William Jones, how much do you think COVID and the delayed movie schedule impacted the Disney Plus and movie tie-ins? A lot, but
Really?
maybe not as much as
I don't
you'd
think it affected the tie-ins. Of course, the schedule, but I don't think it affected tie-ins. I don't think they were like, we can't tie it in anymore
Yeah, that's fair.
because of the release schedules getting fucked up.
Yeah, I do think it affected the next chunk more than this chunk. I do think Doctor Strange was affected strongly, which caused a cascading domino effect of pushes. I think Doctor Strange and their so Marvel films like 80 to 90% of their movie, and then they do additional photography of 10 to 20% of each movie. The additional photography, as well as the end of their photography
Yeah.
in a number of films, was shifted because of COVID. I think that caused a 6-month push in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which then caused a cascading effect for the rest of Phase 4. So I think everything after this was much more affected by COVID than everything up to this point.
Terrible answer, Corey.
I know. I'm
Belladonna.
Where's Belladonna? Bella, I messaged you on Twitter to say thank you
She's just
for all
saying-
the feedback, and yet I don't see anything here in the chat.
Belladonna 1363.
I appreciate
Just
the
a moment
super
of
chat, but
silence.
damn.
Thank you for
But
the moment of
Belladonna, you've
silence.
been very vocal about your support for this movie even before you even got to see it, and I admire your connectivity to the material at hand. Moving on.
Hells
Motorola,
yeah.
no question, just commenting. Coy, there's too much love for Coy in these super chats. All right? I think we need. I think we need to dial it back.
Only Greg and John
right.
compliments from
Now
here
that we
on
cut
out.
off the super
All
chats,
right?
they're making a directive about less.
Coy, it was cool to see you do your thing at the Nerdist event Thursday night.
Guys, I got to introduce Eternals to the world, the first public screening at the El Capitan, Disney's own theater. I got to introduce and host and present Eternals, which I did not find out I was doing until after I'd started reviewing it. So there was some kickback from people being like, oh, you only loved it because actually I loved it, got to present it. And it's really cool. It's one of my great honors. Anytime I get to produce and present one of these movies from the side of fandom, it makes me realize how far I've come from reading comics and not having friends that read comics and like being at a comic store by myself. I literally at 14 was sorting comics for like $2 an hour for fun, and now I get to be on the biggest stage in the world presenting these movies for Marvel, and it is an honor, and I appreciate each and every one of you supporting me, allowing that to happen. The bigger my audience gets, the more I get to do that shit, and I can't do it without you, so thank you.
Spider Coy, far from fandom.
No more Coy love in the chat, though.
No
Make
more
sure
Coy
it
love?
doesn't fucking happen.
But no, that's
I'm really
beautiful,
happy
man.
for you, Coy. You are the
Yeah.
biggest comic fan I've ever known in my entire life, and if there's anyone who deserves that level of success, it's you.
And when I saw you,
And Mahershala Ali can go suck it.
suck a dick.
All right.
We have a not notable voice, Mahershala.
Yeah, dude. And when I saw your Instagram post, I was like, "Oh, damn, what Coy's introducing this? It's like the El Cow."
Dude,
Yeah.
it came out of nowhere, and I was like, yeah, I'll be
And
there.
I was so happy for you
Thank
in that
you,
moment.
man. It
Like
was
no
so-
one I
1,300
know
people.
deserves that more.
It was so surreal to look at 1,300 people and just be like, I'm gonna talk about Eternals to you. Like it was one of those life moments. I got to do the 22 on the road to Endgame as well. I got to introduce 4 Marvel films in the run up to Endgame, and then talk to the Russos and Kevin about it. And then to do this was I'm gonna die, and these moments will flash back in my life. These are gonna be those moments of like I did something worthwhile in between all of the yelling at bigots.
And Niraj Krishnan, thank you for the little fan
Ooh, I like this
sticker.
little guy.
Yeah, it's got a little fan
Thank
dance.
you, Niraj.
Niraj, you're the man. Jackie Chan. Name? No name? Nope. Frank DX.
Hey guys, definitely agree with you guys' opinions on the movie. All of us? That's interesting. I'll go watch it tonight again. Celestial CGI were mind-blowing. Pretty excited to see in the future Galactus in all his glory. Well, thank you for the super chat.
does
I'm
help
glad you
Galactus
enjoyed
set
it.
Absolutely.
Jim X Mafia. Hey, John and Greg. Greg here to
Greg
say,
Alva.
do you think Celestial is huge? Sure. Fuck
no,
yeah.
that's the twist. Actually, is they're really tiny, and Earth
microverse.
and everything else is even tinier.
Yes.
Selma Hayek, little baby.
Have you seen that episode where SpongeBob and Patrick find the belt with the miniaturization? They flip it to W for Wumbo, and they shrink all of Bikini Bottom, and then Plankton shows back up at the end, and he's huge by comparison. And he's like, "What happened here?" That's the MCU.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Mustafa Yav.
Dope name.
Or Jav. Do you think extra exposition could have been helpful, followed by holding off on Origins for a little bit? I think what would have been helpful is to turn this into a TV show. Solve both problems at the start.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Morgan Richardson.
10. For every time Coy roasted idiots during this live. Seriously, we need to cool it on the Coy.
I didn't even see the live chat. I was just coming at them blind because I know they're in there. So I appreciate you understanding that I was fucking decking fools, assuming they're in there.
Coy was rehearsing in the car right over here.
Also, if you're in here later watching not live, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's just a universal. But I love most of you, just not you, but everyone else.
Teague, with the DC references in the movie, do you think the director would have been doing a New Gods or Fourth World movie?
Ugh. New Gods would be fucking
Aw, poor New
amazing.
God.
Yeah, Ava DuVernay and Tom King's New Gods is one of my biggest losses in cinema. Second to, we found out recently that it was going to be New Gods and a Trench movie over at DC, and they announced it as a Trench movie. We were all like, wait, I saw Aquaman. Why the fuck would we have a 20-minute sequence turned into a full film? They didn't reveal that it was actually a Black Manta sequel they were trying to make. That I would have watched the fuck out of. So because of the budget going to the Snyder Cut and because of the dark side taking the Snyder Cut, we lost both New Gods, which would have been a Mr. Miracle Big Barda movie, which would have changed the entire pantheon of what DC became, and we would have had a Black Manta movie, which would have allowed us to have a very different Aquaman 2, which would have had a conflict between 2 leads instead of 1 lead and a new character we barely know. And instead, DC's making these choices.
I think this all sounds like shit, Coy.
We had such hope.
I think it all sounds terrible.
Just
Dumb,
worst.
that's what DC stands for,
Coy.
is dumb choices.
You
All
know,
right.
I like a lot of their
The
choices.
Doomer, crazy thought. What if all the god pantheons in the MCU, Odin, Zeus, Thor, etc., are just robots? That would suck. I would hate that.
Like the scene in Loki
I
where
would
we're like,
absolutely
wait,
hate that.
what? Don't do this to us, the Doomer.
That would be the most
Don't you.
annoying reveal.
Doomer.
That's the big, like, everything was a dream moment. Like, I don't want everything to be a dream.
I hope in the last MCU movie they just zoom out to reveal this was all taking place in a comic book that some
I'm
kid is
reading it.
reading. Yeah, that an ancient Koi Jandro is reading.
It's me and Brody from Mallrats, like, flipping comics.
Aline Goslin, you're not the only one cursed with knowledge. I wonder if Thanos knew the Celestials' plan given watching new Rockstar's post and credit breakdown. I mean,
like
maybe.
that. I like that a lot. I'm cool with Celestials and Thanos having some bro down.
I think it would just enhance the world, and then I love the idea of really connecting it in, especially if Celestials are going to be probably the next big thing.
Yeah,
or
I
King
like
the
that.
Conqueror or something. I don't know which one. He also knew King the Conqueror. Belladonna 1363. Coy, thank you for always speaking up for people of color, LGBTQ. People, it means a lot. I feel Greg might give people too much the benefit of the
That's the first time I've ever seen Greg be the altruistic one on the internet ever. That's amazing. Look at you, Greg, being too nice.
Greg is always
What? I feel like it's a
altruistic.
criticism about me.
No, you're saying too much. You assume better of people. Or am I just so optimistic I see that as a bad
Yeah, I'm like, I feel
You give
that's
too much people at the end of the day.
fascinating.
You're assuming
I'm
they're
like,
better than they are.
I'm the only person of color here in
Yeah, but
this
I
live
feel-
stream, and the only one part of the LGBT.
But you says I feel Greg might give people too much of the doubt, as in you're like you think they're better than they are, so you're more optimistic than me.
Yeah, it's,
That's how I read
Is that how it reads, John? How
John,
do
what
you
do you
read
think? How
it?
do you read that?
I get where Greg is coming from a little bit.
There we go. Even John's in the middle on this.
I get where you're. I mean, because you have this. There's a bit of a I don't know what to call it. There's like a motif now where it's like you've come on these live streams a couple times. You've launched out into some very epic rants
Some
on
monologues
behalf of
there.
Yeah.
marginalized people, and so I mean, given the conversation we had earlier about having like, okay, I want to understand what my friend who didn't have a good feeling about the kiss scene or whatever, like.
But I think it is because I am a mostly straight white dude, so I'm in a position of privilege where I can yell at other white straight dudes and go like "fuck you" specifically. Where like Greg being a person of color, they can attack him in a way they can't attack me. Like, what are they gonna call me? Like, I'm privileged enough to say like "fuck you guys" for not understanding this.
Boy's
bullshit.
my white savior.
No, but without being a white savior,
I think you're
I've
both
never
doing-
said, but I've never said like,
I'm
oh,
just
look at
being
me.
sarcastic.
You're both doing the Lord's work.
I've never made it about
that,
me, or I try not to.
In that Greg wants to understand, like, people who don't seem malicious but who have the opposing or the problematic point of view. You want to understand maybe where that comes from and see if you can reach maybe some kind of, I don't know, progress despite that.
There's a lot of people you can't do that with. And
Right.
There's
I
a
think
lot,
more
yeah.
Nazis need to get punched.
And there's a few you can do that.
A
There's
lot of
few
the
you
time-
can have an actual discussion with.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time you would probably fall into, Koi's
Oh,
mode
yeah.
for this, and then given the opportunity with somebody who is receptive.
The Colby Covington fight with Usman last night, that dude's a MAGA asshole, and him getting his ass kicked by a Nigerian made me so happy. Like, punch more Nazis.
I need to see that happen.
Okay, it's a good fight.
Christian Alante, I really liked it. But I was also one of the only people in school that liked reading the Iliad, and this reminded me of that in a way. That's a good touchstone, absolutely.
It's definitely got like an epic scope of like an old play. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
vibe with that.
I can appreciate that.
Sure.
I
yeah.
can appreciate the intentions always.
That's a good compromise.
Politician approach.
Pownall or Ponal. Any thoughts on what Tyrone said? Shaking my head. What did he say?
Who's Tyrone?
Tyrone Magnus.
What did he say? Like about Eternals? Did he say
Who's
the movie
Tyrone
sucks?
Magnus?
Who's Tyrone Magnus? The great Tyrone
Tryon
Magnus?
swag tits.
Is he in Marvel? I don't. I know a lot of Marvel
Is he?
characters.
He's a celestial.
I'm very lost
Tyrone
here.
Magnus is one of the bigger celestials.
Someone has to clip this moment.
Okay, I'm like, what's a Tyrone Magnus? Is it like,
What's a Tyrone Magnus?
is it like a politician or like a DC
He has a
character?
reaction channel.
Oh, he's like
And
another.
he's got
Okay,
almost-
gotcha.
He's got almost 2 million followers. Yeah.
What did he say? Someone tell me about.
Someone tell us what he said.
Tyrone Magnus.
Well, I'll learn later. I'll watch it
Your
later.
mom, Koi, your mom is in the chat talking. I have 32 long boxes 32 long boxes of Koi's collection at my house on the East Coast.
And they're full. 300 each. That's what, like 9,600 books? Yeah, there's like 10K
over
books over there.
9,000.
It's over 9,000. I learned what a
leave
Tyrone
it-
Magnus was today.
Leave it in the chat, and maybe we'll see what Tyrone said. But for now, Lily Aguilera.
He sounds like he could be a DC character.
Hello, guys. Do you think
He
the
does know
Eternals-
Zack Snyder.
There's that. Hello, guys. Do you think the Eternals is the Marvel version of BVS? Is that divisive? Love your content, guys. I absolutely
It's-
don't think that.
No, because I don't think it completely goes. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. I wouldn't call it that, but I would liken this experience more to that in terms of like panned move. But a lot of people are. I was also a rally behind not. This movie's not rallying behind Chloe Zhao. They're rallying behind a Marvel movie.
Yeah, because
You know,
Marvel
we're-
didn't
we're-
step in and cut this down to something
Where
unintelligible.
DC had a
Yeah.
very rally around Zack Snyder.
And I do feel like this
Yeah.
is more DNA with Snyder Cut, because the Snyder Cut allowed us to feel like gods walked amongst us. And
Yeah.
that, to me, feels more like the Snyder DNA people keep talking about. Like, it's more Justice League than it is BVS. And I love the Batman scene in BVS, but overall the movie didn't get the time to breathe that Eternals did. So I don't think it's fair to compare the two. I do feel like Zack Snyder is a genius filmmaker that has been shackled at times, whereas this wasn't Chloe being shackled. So I don't think it's necessarily fair to look at anything up until the Snyder Cut to compare the two.
Fair enough.
That makes
Thank you,
sense.
Lily.
I think we may have reached the end of our super chats.
Yeah, we
so-
got a Streamlab pretty good.
yeah.
By then we'll know
Let's
what this-
refresh the Streamlabs really quick. Thank you all for.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
we got. You guys have been very kind for
Checking
especially
out.
for sticking around with us. We spend way too much time usually per answer.
We love answering.
Poll agrees that Coulson is not a celestial, but
Great choices.
32%. This was the closest poll, and 32% voted super yes.
Super yes.
So I think there could be some wiggle room there.
We
for
need to
our
give
boy.
everyone a break before John Campea goes live.
Yeah.
Do you know I talked to him for the first time about this movie? Me and Campy had a great conversation. He really loved it like I did, and I like his view on it.
I'm glad you guys get
Oh,
along.
you guys bonded.
We did. We talked outside the screening. Had a little bro down about it. It was good. It was real good. I respect his take on
We
this.
got to film Witcher, and we got to edit some more shit, and I got to help out Coy with something
gonna
too.
edit something for the
so
first
we
time.
we definitely got to call it, man.
All right, let's get these.
John,
last
load the internet
stragglers.
faster. Don't
I
you know how to
am
do
Make
that?
the internet
Don't you know
faster.
how to go up there?
Oh, that's right. We still got to shoot Witcher today, don't we? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
And here
A
you
lot
are
of
meandering
whispering.
with your Coulson polls.
A lot of
Yes.
silent
Yes.
whisper.
All right, Craig Brennan, thank
He's
you
the
so
real
much
Eternal.
for the little pear sticker doing
Thank
the
you,
little
Craig.
jumpy dance there. We'll really enjoy the sticks as well. Let's do the last of the stream labs. Ooh.
People really want to fight me on this.
Yo, do we get Josh Martin?
I think we got a Josh Martin. I don't know if that's the same Josh Martin.
Superman.
No, yeah, we did that.
We got
flap.
Credence. We got. I think we did get Josh Martin.
Okay.
Criticism.
No, we
Oh
didn't
no,
do
we didn't
that.
get that. That's the
All
one.
right,
Okay.
so Josh
All right, we're
Martin's
gonna do this
worth
really
pick up.
quick. Josh Martin, hey y'all, love each and every one of you guys and the work you do. For me, I really enjoyed Eternals and perplexed by the criticism. Is this because it's not a traditional MCU movie and more of a Chloe Zhao movie?
I thought that was the one you got snarky and said, yes, I agree with that.
That was during the super chat. Maybe
Oh.
you went over to both, but yes, it's because it's not a traditional MCU movie. I'll say.
This is my favorite of Chloe Zhao's work, which is not the common. I liked this more than Nomadland, which got Best Picture.
A lot of people hate that movie. In fact, most of the conversation I hear about it is people going, "I hated No Man Land.
It feels like poverty
It's a
porn.
waste of time."
Well, no, it just feels like it's making a commentary on people that don't understand the people, kind of like Big Bang Theory. Like I feel like Big Bang Theory is punching down at nerds, and I feel like Nomadland's punching down at people that actually live at a trailer. So if you've ever been a part of that culture, been to Burning Man, or been to the desert culture, it's not authentic to that, and that to me like took me out of the film.
You always give quality answers.
I just like I gotta
Always.
make sure super chat.
Mez, guys, Ajax made her mind up because of the fight against Thanos and the snapback. It was the final feat that convinced her of humanity's capacity for love and self-sacrifice. She
Yes,
had
yes.
already started to doubt Ereshkigal's design. This was what sealed it.
Yeah, she started doubting 7,000 years ago.
No, I think the Thanos thing, like I was saying, but that's
You know,
that's
No,
better articulated.
Yes,
as-
it's very well put, and I still think she had plenty of time even after the snap. She had more than 6 days.
Good.
Snap just happened like a month ago.
A
Brand
nope.
new.
What is the? Do we know the timeline?
We don't. I mean, I couldn't. I've only seen it once.
It's impossible that snap just happened. That like just that recently, right?
I mean,
The snap just happened?
Theoretically, Shang-Chi, this, and the shows could all happen simultaneously because no one's in each of them.
I guess the question comes down to, did the snap happen 2 weeks ago?
Because then it would
Or
work.
did it happen? Yes. Then I'd be like,
If the snap
all right,
just happened,
fine.
that could work.
Anoop.
I felt like it was just another. I thought it was just
Kevin.
another one of her reasons when the movie shows you. Yes, she uses that as one of her reasons.
Right.
But 7,000 years ago, when talking
was
about
chill.
ownership, she was saying, "I don't think we should." She was already trying to bring up her doubt. So I believe she's been doubting and wanting to not do this for 7,000
Straw,
years.
camel's back.
It
She
wa-
was like,
it
yo,
wa-
I like these people. I like them a lot.
Yeah, for 7,000 years, she's already. I feel like she made this decision way before the snap.
I see where you're coming from.
I think the snap was just another one of the reasons.
Anoop. I thought the movie was way better than the reviews. Didn't understand how they were worse than Wonder Woman 84. Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. Also, didn't get how Eternals was an intellectual piece, as few pointed out. Was the standard save the world from destruction? LOL.
I love this. This is perfect. It's like, I don't get why I got so much hate. It was good. Also, it ain't as deep as people are saying it is.
Yeah, this is a great.
Why don't people
everything,
acknowledge how okay this is?
Here we are. It's not as bad as this. It's not as deep as this. There we go.
This is fine, guys.
Hey, you know what?
Super okay.
Art is interpretive, and I
might be
love this take.
That might be my favorite comment. Favorite one all the day.
Well done, Anoop. All right, Mez is back.
Yes, we just reread it. We read it, yeah.
Because
I'm with Coy on this. Just apologize for double messaging. First time supporter, long time listening.
Oh,
Love
thanks,
the energy, and all the best with the channel. Well, I appreciate it, and I agree to disagree on that thing. I think that was just one of the reasons, another reason to add on to when I think the real reason why Ajax went against this is all the other shit she talked about with, like, I've seen all the terrible things they've done. I've seen all the great things they've done too, and the snap is just one of the great things.
yes.
But I think it's all the collective experiences over the last 7,000 years are really the thing that made her have that
But
choice.
if they're eternal, 7,000 years could be like a week for us. If she lives for 100,000
time
years,
must move
what's time?
differently.
What's time?
Maybe.
So maybe she could doubt something for 7,000 years and be like, I'll
I
still
think
think
you
about it.
fucking feel
I
7,000
don't know.
years.
I think they're chilling.
What's
Could be a
important here is
Or
that
she's for a million years.
what's important is that Flev Doran says that you did succeed, Coy. The point of artists is to create and tell stories and entertain people. And if you can enter a room and instantly grab people's attention like you did here on Real Rejects, you succeeded.
Flev, you get it. You get it. We're on the same page.
I used to see Coy a lot in the same room, but would never talk to him.
I didn't
but-
know that for years, by
but
the way.
as I
Our
I-
first phone call was a big epiphany for me.
What a lot of people don't know is I had seen Coy a lot online, and I was a little nervous to approach him. And I never talked to him just because I was like, this guy's so much bigger than me in my own head is how I view him. So I
then
just
I called
never, I
Greg and
never
was like,
approached
"Hey,
him.
man."
And then when you recruited me for the Schmodown team, I'm like, you remember me? Yeah.
I was like,
I
you got
know.
this giant channel that I respect with John, who I know from coffee.
That's right, man. Coffee ties.
I literally
coming
was
in
like,
handy.
I was like, John from coffee and Greg, who I really respect and admire, and John, who I respect and admire.
And
Why
John
is this
from
weird?
Coffee.
No,
Greg,
no.
who I respect and admire. John from Coffee.
You guys are one of the only 5 channels I was subscribed to. Literally, you found
No,
that out when like you opened my page. You were like, you don't follow Glider, and I was like, nah. Like I literally, you guys were one of 5.
So yeah.
So yeah, not at all, which is it's very flattering. But yeah, I appreciate that very much. But I love that you're both like, huh? And I was like, I know John in life.
No, we had known Coy for a while. Yeah.
5 subscribers. You guys are one of my 5 I follow.
Aw, never follow anymore.
So Tyrone got backlash for not liking the gay kiss. Looper, I understand if you'd rather not address it right now. I mean, okay, if that's how
is that what
Tyrone
Tyrone
feels.
said?
Well,
New
I will
person, Tyrone.
I will
Magnus.
say that I feel like we talked pretty extensively about this subject at the top of this, at the earlier part of the stream.
Was it like he had a problem with them being gay, or did he think that just having a relationship in the movie was a pacing issue? Was it? I mean, I guess we closed the chat, so it doesn't matter. But like, I don't know.
I would liken it more to like the conversation I was saying I had earlier. Is more how I would imagine Tyrone feels,
Yeah.
but I can't assume. Maybe you should do a live stream and really
You
break it
could.
down.
It'll just make asses out of all of us.
Who's Tyrone Magnus?
Flev Doran back in the action about the D Plus shows. Maybe not connecting with the films. I get PTSD from all the years rewatching all MCU TV shows, thinking it would matter. Yes, including Inhumans. Anyway, Can't wait for No Way Home and the 6th spoiler live stream after it. Take care.
That's gonna be a killer live stream.
We're gonna have
That's-
so much fun for like a
That's
month.
gonna be an off-road live stream if ever there was one.
Thank you for the contribution here. Shabhan, more than anything else, I love that the movie is trying to cater to and represent the world with different cultures, races, languages, etc. Amazing that so many underrepresented groups get to see themselves on screen kicking ass. By the way, I love your channel. It's all John, man. It's all John. Love you, John. You've really held down the fort here for so long. All
3
John.
hours.
All John. And yeah, I think that's great. Diversity is awesome. But I also hate that it's shoved in my face and pushed it down my throat. Damn it. Freaking gender bending things for comics I didn't actually read.
I
am
hate so much
pissed.
that I read this character in Wikipedia and I read he was male and now he's not.
Comics explained.
My
show me that that's a
30-section
different
exposure,
race.
very upsetting.
Damn it.
Who do they think they are?
What the hell?
Changing my opinion from 10 minutes ago.
It's funny to me because this is one of the casts where I'm like, this really does feel like a very diverse cast without it being like, this is the point.
At
Yes.
no
You
point
know,
when I
like-
watched this was I like, huh, they've got a person from different things. I was like, look at all these great actors.
And I think
I
it's
never was pulled out of it.
I think it's arguable. I mean, putting the kiss directly front and center does kind of go, guys, look.
But
I
they'd
feel like
introduced a couple already.
yeah, but of all the Disney attempts lately to be inclusive, this movie felt a little more genuine about it.
Star Wars literally hit it.
than
Star
trying
Wars-
to hit inclusivity points.
Star Wars
Than
is like,
putting like a gay couple in the background to kiss and be like, hey, we got a few points.
they set up Penn and fucking Poe as fucking, and then they were like, by the way, he's got a girlfriend, and then they had a couple kissing on the background. Like, it's just, I don't know.
If Brian Tyree Henry kissed a woman and if that was the whole point of that,
No one would have a conversation.
no one have a conversation, and the whole point. But the thing is, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not like the people who made this were unaware that this would draw attention for being a gay kiss scene, you know.
But they weren't advertising
But
it
they
for
were.
that.
Yeah, I didn't think so either, and I think some people will take it like that only because they were already going to take it like that.
No matter what they
Yeah,
did, they'd take
no
it like
matter-
that.
no
They're
matter
already
what.
they've already
Just
written
the
their
fact that
signs.
they're fucking gay, that it's going to happen.
Yeah,
And,
they've written their
yeah.
fucking picket signs, and
Yeah,
nothing will change that.
There are people already predetermined to respond that
And that
way
kiss was
to
so
it.
sentimental and loving. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
oh baby, oh baby. Like I just,
Yeah.
that's stupid.
Seeing other kinds of people represented and thriving on screen truly makes me happy when it's done properly.
Yeah, it should never be something that angers you because you can just turn on Avengers.
Philly G,
I'm just a girl. Sorry.
Philly G, thank you for the moment of silence, my friend. Really appreciate that.
Did Katy Perry get kicked back for I Kissed a Girl and I Liked It? Like that's the same.
It's a
anyway.
you know
That was
it's
way
a
more-
it's
Different.
a
Straight
it's
white
a-
men love when two women hook up.
Yeah,
Literally, that song
It's
is
very
like,
different.
That
It's
song is
okay.
pandering.
It's
That song
hot.
is
It's horny.
exploiting and
All right.
pandering versus like this being a background choice.
I only like
Anyway.
lesbians who
Anyway.
are also only attracted to me. Shubham. It's so great to finally see a South Asian superhero in the MCU who's funny and hot. Love
shredded.
Kingo. Great representation of the culture with the wedding and funeral scenes, but the Bollywood dance sequence felt more like a
It's not a
parody.
good Bollywood dance.
Lost opportunity,
It's
in my
not-
opinion.
Yeah, it is not a good Bollywood dance.
Yeah, I was like, you didn't throw down maybe as hard as you could have on this.
Yeah, I was like, this guy's the superstar. Like, it's
Apparently,
not
he didn't know he was like signed on
a- yeah,
for
I
that.
saw
And
the
like,
I saw the interview. With
so was it distracting? Because I don't know Bollywood that well.
I mean, I've seen a few Bollywood dance numbers, but the fact that of how it's just you could just tell it's really under choreographed for him, and he didn't really give him time to properly train for it and stuff. Yeah,
He got Finn Jonesed.
All right,
but
Garth.
it is stoic and doesn't really move, much like another character who he's playing in that movie.
Yep. Hey,
So one
maybe
could
it's
argue
intentional.
arguably an intentional Icarus.
His
choice.
other films are way more animated.
Garth Harkness McMurray. Coy, read our last one of the day.
Coy talking about MCU Irish heroes. Don't forget the parents of Steve Rogers are poor Irish immigrants, so he's Irish too. Netflix MCU Daredevil is Irish too. Now to bring in Black Tom from Deadpool 2, Banshee from First Class, maybe Shamrock too. Fun fact, I ran into Conor McGregor once at a restaurant and pitched him playing I'm not even kidding, playing Black Tom. And he said, and I quote, "Oh, I'd kick all the fucking X-Men." And it to this day is one of my favorite moments in my adult life. Him telling me he would take out all of the X-Men.
George.
But yes, Steve Rogers is a noted first-generation Irish American, and it is near and dear to my heart that Chris Evans is from the first city of America, Boston, Massachusetts, where your boy is from as well. As an Irishman, it does make me happy to hear the Irish lilt, and I hope we get more of that in this world. But it was much more important to me to see all these characters that people are angry about, because it really reveals people's true colors in a very interesting way. Not a lot of people get mad at Irish people, but except around the holidays.
All
And when the
right.
Red Sox win.
Doing one more refresher just to make sure we got everybody, but thank you all
think
so
we
much
did.
again. Last poll of the day.
We need to regain some energy before we shoot Witcher, which is a very heady, focused show.
with a lot of different
Okay, we
places.
got one more here.
But yeah, thank
Coy,
you for the
it's
poll.
about you, Coy. Take it.
Kung Fu Hot Dog, love you guys. Coy, you still a Gymshark, and did you get back your fixed? What is fixed? You mentioned looking Cro-Magnon. Oh, like getting fixed back at the gym. I actually just rejoined the gym. So the gym, there we go. There it is.
Damn,
there it
dude.
is.
I got nothing on you.
Remember you said I was small last time, and I took that personally.
compare?
You
I'm not
remember when you,
Yours is so much bigger.
remember when you said
so much bigger, Coy.
remember when you said I was small and I took it
can't-
personally?
John,
Actually,
get
no,
in
you
here.
got some gains, dude.
No, yours is way bigger.
Got some fucking work.
Y'all.
Damn it, Coy.
So last time I was here, Greg actually pointed out I'd gotten smaller, and it actually affected my gains.
But you
I
see-
went immediately to the gym that day.
But your arms look like naturally big. You don't even have to flex. My arms look small, and then they get big if I flex.
But I'm so pale you can't see the definition. I'm like, I glow in the dark. But
Both of your biceps are bigger than my head.
It's the end of the stream.
They're both bigger than my head.
It's literally the end of the stream, and he asked the gym question, and we
So Greg-
technically have a mirror on camera right
last time
now.
I was here, I walked in and Greg was like, "Hey man, you look smaller. What happened?" I kid you not. And you know, if you're a gym bro, you're like, "Well, that means one thing." And I left
I
here.
thought you lost a bunch of weight.
I did, but it affected all of me.
I didn't think you like lost some muscle.
When
I was
do you,
like, oh, Coy lost
when you
weight.
hear that, it feels like you know
Okay.
what that feels like.
I
You
mean,
know.
I never get told I lost weight. I always get told, "Did you gain weight?" That's what I'm always told.
Body dysmorphia affects all sizes and spectrums. So my gym had no mask mandate because it's out of LA County. So I'd go to the gym and be like, "I'm gonna die here." So I didn't go. So the gym close to
dying
me
on other
is
people's
literally
fluid.
3 times the price, and I didn't go for 2 months. And then I was like, "Wait, there's a New Year's deal." So I
You
joined.
can pay extra and get.
and get the Rona.
And get the Rona.
But I rejoined 6 days ago, and I've gone every day for 6 days, and I'm starting to see them gains. So it's working because of your challenge.
Fuck yeah.
I credit you because I took it personal.
You're
I'll
responsible
make sure
for
to
all this.
insult you more often. Coy.
Yeah, if you ever want Coy to bulk up for something, just
Challenge
really,
my gains.
really diminish his self-esteem. And,
Oh,
you
you
know.
should take some inspiration from the Machinist Star Week, Coy, huh?
Looking Bale, not Batman era. Maybe some Rescue Dawn, motherfucker.
Yeah, are you about to play some prisoner of war in a movie?
I'm just
That's
curious,
crazy.
is there a role in your future as a small child? Because it seems like that's the direction you're going.
Are you doing pre-serum, Steve?
I'm playing Sprite, in fact,
right,
in the
guys.
next...
All
We
right.
gotta end the stream.
All right.
We got so much more to handle, and you guys have been great. You guys have easily been the stars of this stream, and I appreciate you both very much for being
Steering the
here.
ship.
Oh shit, we got thank you also to the
Oh,
to the
damn,
folks
we got
Sean McLaughlin and Wayne Ventar for sending in some stickers at the very end.
Thank you
here.
so much.
Appreciate those stickers. Lovely.
You guys have been incredible to us, and I really appreciate everyone who's been here this entire time. And Coy and I were not really aware of the actual chat this time around.
Nope, we don't know what happened.
We're usually very
It was taken away from me.
involved in the chat, but this time around, Coy and I were both like, we know how we are. We're hyper responsive,
Very sensitive.
And
Thank you
knowing
for-
this movie, we're gonna kind of be on guard a little bit
smart.
with our thoughts and
That
heart.
was
Yeah.
smart.
Thank
So
you
to
for
John.
making the chats fun though, and for voting in the polls. The
Yeah.
final poll: 48% of you say they're absolutely going to see this again in theaters.
It didn't seem
So,
exactly too toxic. The chat did it get ever out of hand?
I had to boot a few people, but that's par for the course.
But overall, it was all right.
Overall, very
Okay.
supportive, very
Yeah.
respectful,
Awesome.
and very enthusiastic.
Awesome.
Gives me
Okay.
hope.
Well, thank you guys so much. Coy, you're the man. This is really your stream. John, you're second. I'm third. But we all know that really it's Tyrone Magnus who stole the show.
I gotta Google this dude. Is he like a thing?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, good for him.
And Sean McLaughlin, you're a big dick. All right, guys, we're gonna do this. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for being here. We'll catch you guys soon. And Craig Brennan,
Brennan, thank you
guys
for
so much.
the ending sticker.
Thank you, everyone was here.
There you
Hopefully
go.
you enjoyed the
There you go.
stream.
Much love, and we are ending this tonight.
All right,
now.
Koi,
Tonight?
take off your
Now?
shirt.
Yeah, Koi, take
Not
your
there
shirt
yet.
off.
After
flex.
Spider-Man No Way Home, I'll give you guys some Flash
I'm not
Thompson.
ending the stream
some
until
Flash.
you flex. Until you flex, Koi.
We can't even end the stream.
Your stream will stop immediately once Koi flexes.
That was long.
That was long. We did it. We did it, you guys. 2:30.
Hells yeah.
3 hours.
Turn off the lights.
That was actually way more peaceful than I expected. Like, I felt like Matrix was way more aggressive. But then again, we didn't look at it all.
Is there a Spider-Man poster?